Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Game Informer Show. I'm Ben Hansen, joined by Jeff Margiafava.
Hey!
Jesus Christ. Good luck with the levels in there, intern Hunter. Kyle Hilliard.
Thank you for having me.
Perfect. I love this challenge. And Jeff Cork.
Hi.
Oh, the normal man. The bed that's just right for Goldilocks. That's
Exactly.
how I consider you, Jeff Cork.
I'm the one who breaks the chairs, though.
We have a hell of a show. We're talking about
What?
a lot. We have a grab bag of little games that we're going to just run through rapid fire. It's going to be a sweet time. Okay. Then, 'tis the season
Yeah?
to talk about Star Wars. So we have a
Right
segment.
now? No, next segment.
Next segment.
Shoot.
So we're going to talk all about the greatest Star Wars games ever made and really iron it down. It's a concrete science, and we'll get right to it. It'll be a fun time. What do you think is the greatest Star Wars game ever?
The greatest Star Wars game ever made?
Yeah.
Star Wars Shadows of the Empire for Nintendo 64.
Yeah, great.
I forgot to mention it during that segment, but there's this game where the game over screen, it's a Star Wars game, the game over screen is a picture of Yoda, and then it just says, try again. It's like, isn't that really bizarre to have Yoda just be like, I don't know, do you want to try again?
Should say
Give it
like
your best
again
stab?
try or something like
Well,
that?
there is no try. That's the entire point.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Anyways, a lot of great Star Wars games, and then we talk about great community emails. Then back half of the show, in studio, we're joined by Oddworld's Lorne Lanning and executive producer Bennie Terry to talk about Oddworld Soulstorm. It's wild. We Skyped him in about 3 years ago, and there genuinely are people out there that write in or tweet at me and say, like, you got to have Lorne Lanning back, got to have Lorne Lanning back. He's a fascinating guy. We'd all agree he's a real character. And not only did we have him back, we had him back in the flesh. He came by Game Informer's office here.
He was in the office. He came upstairs, and I thought immediately, that is the most dashing man in the video game industry.
Really?
Absolutely.
He's got a good silver fox look to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we talk about the bizarre production for Oddworld Soulstorm. They ditched the original developer, and now they're just contracting out throughout the world to try and piece this thing together. It's bizarre. We talk a little about like Next Generation. I yell at him for when he made Munch's Odyssey an Xbox exclusive over the PS2, because I was really banking on that PS2 version. A lot of fun chats. He's also... He just like unloads these. He's been in the industry for so long. He has all these names and arguments on the tip of his tongue. So we start talking about like the PlayStation 3, and he launches into how much he fought Shuhei Yoshida because Shuhei Yoshida wanted to give somebody like a Lifetime Achievement Award, and he's like, hell no. Like, that guy sucks. Find out who it is in the back half of the show.
All right.
Also, quick mop-up, Dangerous Driving. Remember we had Alex Ward on the podcast a couple weeks ago or whatever? Matthew Cotto gave it a 6 out of 10.
Kato?
Yeah, Kato himself. Yeah, I see you listen to that. It's really a bummer. It's like Three Fields Entertainment can't catch a break. They're cranking out all these games that seem tailor-made for the burnout crowd. This one in particular, and then people were like, not so much.
Didn't he say that he could fix any racing game?
Yes, he did.
And what'd that game get?
Look, it's a small budget. Don't be a dick.
I'm just asking questions.
Indeed. Okay, let's get to this fun grab bag. First up, Labo VR.
Oh.
The future is now. Kyle Hilliard.
It finally is here.
You confessed something very interesting the other day.
Uh-oh.
You've never been happy. No, you confessed that you've made every single Labo thing,
Yeah,
which is very impressive.
I went and looked in the vault, and I realized that, I have built every Labo thing that has released, for better or worse, I guess.
How many people on planet Earth do you think have done that?
The creator of Labo.
Okay.
Me, second.
Okay.
I don't know. A bunch of people on Nintendo.
He is our Labo guy, so
Yeah,
it's
that's a
not
good beat.
that
Does
crazy that he built them all.
other publications have Labo people, or do they spread it
Yeah,
out?
most of them have quit by now.
I tried lightly to get someone else to build VR, and I was like, "Hey, anybody else want to make this one?" And everyone immediately put on their headphones and looked down.
You're not assertive enough, Kyle.
One.
That's the problem.
fine.
Okay, Labo
It's fun
VR.
to build.
So VR has come to the Switch in a very confusing way.
Yeah.
So you're building it out of cardboard and then sliding, and then you have wacky lenses, then you slide
Yeah.
the Switch in there, and then there's no mount. You just have to hold it up to your dumb head.
Yeah, it's all built out of cardboard except for the lenses. Like that's the one plastic piece.
I
which-
would assume so.
Well, yeah. I mean, well, that's unique to Labo this time, to this version of Labo.
Right.
Is that there's
Ugh.
an extra piece that has like the magnifying lens.
Early
Yeah.
prototypes, the all cardboard design did not work well.
What do you think of this thing?
It's okay. I wrote about it for the site, and I called it a functional novelty. In that, like, it is a novelty. It is not as good as like Oculus or PSVR or anything like that. It's not like
Well, blow me down.
It's not a true VR headset, but it's a Nintendo product, and they have a good history of making interesting and innovative and creative games. So even though it's not as like you're not
good
in a world in the same way you are in PSVR or with Oculus or Vive, there are fun games to be played with it.
Kyle, I have a
Yes,
question. Can you tell me about a frog thing?
Frog
Let's
thing.
do this like... He just says it's not quite as good as PSVR.
However, there's what ended up being my favorite, which is the one that I was like, Hanson, this is the one I want you to try.
I tried it. It was like seeing the face of God.
Yes, that's right. So if you remember, Jumping Flash is the PS1 game, right? You're like first person jumping. It's kind of that perspective. You're like a frog, and it sort of feels similar, which is why I reference it. And that you're just trying to leap on top of a series of like balls that stack up.
Spat out by weird clown freak figures.
It's weird, but you have a pedal that you press to jump, and attached to the pedal is a giant fan that just blows wind at you.
So you
get
a
a slight sense of like moving through the air as you jump
It's
up.
cooler if you have long hair like Kyle too, so you can see it flapping in the breeze every time.
But the first time I did it made me laugh like out loud because it was just so silly and weird, but undeniably
and by hour
creative.
20, I feel like you really got the hang of it. That's the thing. It's like you build
be a
these things.
dick.
I'm not. I like Labo. I'm a
You're yelling at him for being an
Yeah,
here
you're
you
right.
are making fun of
But it is
Labo
like
VR.
you make this stuff, and then how long realistically did you play Jump as a Frog game?
Oh, just a little bit. There's one that's you build like a bird, and you kind of hold it up to your head and you
look in the bird's butt.
you
right?
look in the bird's butt, and then
Okay.
you squeeze the sides to flap. That actually is like
That's about right.
a full like a large area that you can explore, and you can like collect fruit.
How long did you do that one?
Like I don't know, 20 30 minutes or something like that. I tried to play as much as I could in order to write about it. I didn't beat it, but that was the one that felt like a full game.
I like
for lack
that
of a
one
better term.
because it has wings on the side, so when you squeeze it or do whatever, the wings flap, but it has no functional use, and you can't see it because your face is in the bird's ass. It's just for like everyone else who's standing there and laughing at Kyle to see.
This is fun stuff.
Wait, were you guys laughing at me the whole time?
No.
I was playing all
This
this?
is one of the least productive video games he's ever seen someone play. He's accomplishing very little.
What? There was another one. Oh, you were like shooting some good Nintendo cardboard gun for a while.
Good
It's like
Nintendo
a
cardboard gun.
It's like a super scope.
Yeah, it's you build a gun and it's cool because like there's the series of like rubber bands and pulleys in there where you actually have to like a shotgun. What is that term? Like you cock it and then it actually you pull the trigger and you actually get some kickback. And then in the,
What?
Yeah,
You call it a magazine, not a clip.
I don't know.
Too, by the way.
It kicks back, and that one's interesting because you're holding it right on the bridge of your nose, like any normal gun enthusiast would.
That's right. And there's like it's an on-rail shooter, and it's like I liked it because there was actually an arc to the bombs you're kind of firing out. So it's a little bit
to the story.
No. I mean, there is like a city being invaded by aliens, and you end up fighting like a giant monsters.
I was going to ask how they distance themselves from the act of actually shooting a gun.
First of all, because it's not the trigger. It's like you press a
you press
button on the
the
back
thumb.
of the handle
Yeah,
or
it's
something.
weird. But I just liked it that it was more of a like almost a physics game rather than just aiming because you have to find the angles of how the arc of the bullet goes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you ever recommend somebody buy Labo VR? Is it multiple kits or what's going on with these things?
There's options, but the best one to buy is the $80 one that has everything in it.
Okay.
In terms of I don't hate it. I don't think it's like awful. It's fun to make. I think there are fun games within it. I think it is more interesting than a lot of the other Labo stuff.
But still your favorite's vehicle kit.
I think the vehicle one is still the best.
Yeah.
Then I would put Labo second, or I'm sorry. Then I would put VR second.
Oh,
then I
okay.
would put the like piano and stuff third, and the robot fourth.
Say that I'm not good with money. How much could I spend on Labo at this point?
Oh, that's a good question.
Thank
So
you.
it's like 80 for the VR, and then I think each one is 80 actually.
Good Lord.
Yeah. So
You can actually
80
make a
times
cardboard
4.
credit card though, so it takes care of a lot of that
Yeah,
problem
that's
for you.
cool.
I think.
Come on, Hanson.
So the real meat and potatoes here is the fact that hey, VR is running on a Switch and it looks okay-ish.
it looks muddy. Like
Yeah.
I think
But
it's
all
it's
VR is a
in-
little blurry, right?
Yeah,
Are we being
but
honest
this
with
is
ourselves here?
This is the blurriest.
Yes.
Because I think it's a 720 screen.
Right.
But the motion controls work well, so they play well. Even they don't look great though.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
But the exciting thing is that how does it work? So for Super Mario Odyssey, they're going to be adding a VR component.
Yeah. So Odyssey, they've actually made a few like standalone missions, I guess.
Oh, really?
And
That's
what it is,
awesome.
And what it is, I think it's like like a camera locked in place, and then you can control Mario from the third. Like you don't have any camera control, but they'll have I'm guessing they're going to be pretty simple missions of collect these things, jump on these platforms, and then but Breath of the Wild. And these aren't out yet. These come out at the end of the month, so we haven't actually gotten to play these yet. But Breath of the Wild, I guess it's fully integrated.
That's insane.
Like you hold the thing to your face with the controllers on the side of it, and you still play it Zelda like you normally would.
Yeah.
With camera control and the right thumbstick. But I guess you can look at it in a stereoscopic 3D perspective, and you can look around a little bit.
For gaming on the go, Court.
Yeah.
At half the resolution.
Yeah, I am very curious to see what that feels like, or if it's even playable.
Because
really.
it needs to run at 90 frames per second, right, for VR. And that game runs at 30, and the idea that they can pull that off and also...
They can double it on screen and then...
There's no way this will work, right?
I don't think so. Unless they're just not worried about that 90...
No, what
hitting that 90
Whatever.
point.
What they're going
I
to
don't
do
know.
is like, hey, Ganondorf made there's a real thick fog around the world now. Solve the mystery.
That could be.
I am genuinely interested to try those, though. Like, I want to
Yeah.
see what that's like. I'm not super optimistic about how those will play, but I want to try it for sure.
Yeah. All right, on to the next game. Operencia.
Yeah.
Jeff Marky Fava, you are obsessed with this
How
game.
dare you, sir?
Operencia is a lovely little RPG, eh?
Yeah. It sure is.
What is this?
It's kind of a throwback to like the old first-person dungeon crawling RPG games like Shadowrun,
Okay.
right?
Little Underworld Ascendant in there, stuff like that. Okay.
Yeah. And so it is grid-based, kind of. So you're moving from one square to the next, and you can kind of turn, like that. Except all of the graphics are what you would expect from a modern game. So it doesn't look like a blocky dungeon that you're going through. It looks like a normal area, and you have free, viewing on your right control stick.
Why do you like this game so much?
I like it partially as a throwback. I like it as a manageably sized RPG. And it's all of the environments, it's discrete levels, but each one kind of has its own weird fantasy theme, and they're all full of puzzles and stuff. So it's kind of first-based, party-based RPG combat, and then you go out into the environment and you try and solve a bunch of puzzles. And it seems to be built for the completionist in mind, but it's also manageable in that regard.
And one of those puzzles, I believe, includes a sliding block puzzle.
Yeah, so I've liked the puzzles until yesterday. I'm on like the last level or the second to the last level, and they decide to say, fuck it, let's just throw in a couple sliding puzzles, like the sliding picture puzzles.
Yeah, it's a good time. We all played Wind Waker. They're great.
And I got stuck on one of them for the longest time for some reason. Usually they're not that bad, but...
You didn't get stuck. You got screaming at the top of your lungs, bloody murder, everybody gathering on your desk to watch you because you were pulling your little hairs out.
And then everyone else was trying to do it, and no one, and they were just giving the worst. Surreal is a very nice guy. Let's say that. But he was just giving the worst advice of like, well, maybe you should turn those, like rotate those couple ones around. And it's like, oh yeah, Surreal, thanks. It's the one way I can interact with this puzzle. I haven't thought of doing that.
It ended with you looking up slide puzzle tutorials on YouTube. Not for the game,
yes.
but like in general, the philosophy of slide puzzles.
How do you solve one of these?
That's so sad.
And that was the second time I did it too, because the first time it didn't work. It turned out though, to be fair, I had two of the blocks were in the wrong order. So I feel like I understand sliding puzzles even less after because apparently because those two were in the wrong spot, it was completely unsolvable. Like I couldn't get the pieces that I needed to in the right order because those two, each one had a tiny little dragon, like the tip of a dragon wing.
I don't
on
understand.
it.
You're just describing that you just didn't do the slide puzzle correctly.
Is
What
this
do you
like a
mean?
3x3 sliding puzzle?
It was a 4x4.
Okay,
Corey.
thank
Fuck
God.
you.
Figured,
Totally different.
How
totally.
many? Did you guys, when you're playing those, like the handheld version, like the tactical version as kids, how often?
Tactical version?
Yeah.
Tactile?
There's like
Tile.
Oh, I know what you mean.
yeah, tactile.
Tactical. Yeah, matte black finish.
Put on my little beret,
cool army logo.
Okay, so those tactical slide puzzles. Did you guys ever just say F it and just like rip the plastic pieces out and just like place it in
No.
the right? Okay.
Did you do this?
No, I didn't either.
I just
puzzles,
never.
I
I
think they're
just
great.
gave up before I did
And that's the
that.
sentiment no one likes those puzzles.
I liked him in Wind Waker.
Get out! Kyle, you're host now.
Oh, okay. guys want to talk about Labo some more?
But yes,
No.
but to go back to the actual game, that is one bad puzzle out of a bunch of more interesting puzzles and fun combat.
It seemed like every time I looked over at his screen, he was pulling a lever.
This is cool.
There are lots of
Operencia.
levers.
Where'd it come from?
It came from Zen Studios, the pinball
Oh,
aficionados.
that's why you're
Yes.
reviewing it, because you love Zen Studios. That's
Yeah.
interesting. Is this their first non-pinball game?
No,
No.
they've made a couple. Castle Storm was one. It was kind of a 2D castle defense kind of game, and then there was a
Breakdancing puzzle game?
breakdancing one.
What? How bizarre. That's fun. On everything?
Yeah, I think so.
Jeff, I'm on everything?
Yep.
Great. Okay, so you also checked out for a couple hours this RPG called Outward that a surprising number of people are screaming at us to talk about. Kyle, you played it as well?
Yeah, a little bit.
What is this thing?
It's like a open world. It's an open world fantasy RPG where you're not like a fated hero to save the day. You're just like trying to pay your rent, basically. And so, like, I guess the loop of the game is you're sort of going out, leaving your town, going out into the open world to try to collect resources and money to bring it home to, pay your rent.
Yeah.
And I think I think there's more to it than that, even in terms of the story. But the
Why
first
do you-
couple hours are like your landlord yelling at you for missing out on rent because you've been out on a boat for a couple months.
Why do you think people are so into it?
I think just because it's like it looks like a fantasy RPG, like an open world, like Elder Scrolls inspired fantasy RPG, but it's not because it's like just you're playing as like almost like a normal person. I think that's interesting.
Little Kingdom Come Deliverance for you in there.
Yeah.
Is that
But
the one that
not-
you said
not
was
really at all.
bad?
Yes, it's awful.
Really?
Yeah, I
Right.
didn't like it.
I don't want to judge anyone. People get into some weird games sometimes, and that's totally fine. This looks like a what?
It doesn't
what-
look great.
What
Student
era
project.
would you
Well,
guess?
my wife was watching me play, and she's like, "This looks like Morrowind." I was like, "Do you mean Oblivion?" She's like, "No, I mean Morrowind."
Did
And
I stutter?
It is
Did I
worse
stutter?
than Morrowind, I would say.
But there's some
No,
charm
it's
to
not.
that, right?
No,
It's
there's
not worse than Morrowind.
It's
All
not
right.
charm.
Oh, that's cool. That's Outward, everybody. Jeff Cork
It seems kind of interesting.
seems kind of interesting.
Yeah.
That seems great. Jeff Cork, step up to the mic, please, sir.
Hello.
Will you state your name and occupation?
I don't have to tell you that.
Right. The new EDF,
Yes.
Iron Rain, Earth Defense Force. We had the producer on the show a while back for a bizarrely translated interview. This game is out now?
Is today April 11th?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Great. And Reiner's actually reviewing this one, but you played a lot of it as well.
Yeah. I played
So-
a bunch of co-op with him, and then also played some solo.
They're finally shaking it up. New developer. Mm-hmm. And how is it?
It's weird because I really like the EDF series, right? And coming off of EDF 5, it's kind of jarring because, like, I've said this ad nauseum at this point, but I feel like I've spent enough time with it now where, like, the way that the loot system has changed, it's no longer basically a Skinner box disguised as a kaiju movie where you're picking up loot crates and then at the end you find out what's inside of them and it's like new weapons and all kinds of wacky stuff to encourage experimentation and that thing. Here, as you progress, there's like a linear path where you're getting new weapon recipes and then I guess they call them blueprints, and I don't know how weapons work.
It's all the same.
And but then you're also picking up crafting materials, right? Like different gems. And personally, I find that to be very boring in the long run. And I think the biggest problem I have with it is like, so you pick up a weird weapon that you get at the end of a level. You say, I want to see what that's like. You try it. And you're like, I hate this or I love it, but it didn't cost you anything. Now it's like, oh, I've unlocked this blueprint, and now I have to devote resources to unlock it to figure out, oh, this is just a terrible, dumb gimmick, and I hate it.
Huh. But you're still...
The core of the game is still super fun. And I think it probably looks as good as EDF has ever looked.
Okay.
And it's got a really dumb, bombastic story, which is always super fun. And
Was it something about frogs?
that was the last one. There were these
Oh,
giant
okay.
frog soldiers that you could decapitate and stuff like that.
Sure.
Yeah. I kind of wish you could combine the EDF 5 and Iron Rain and make some kind of hybrid super EDF.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I would be here right now because I would quit my job and play that all day long.
Do you think you like 5 more, though, overall?
That's what's so frustrating about it. I don't like yes, but kind of a thing. Iron Rain's got some really cool stuff in it, but again, I think removing that like, slot machine element of how loot worked really hurts it in the long run. I just don't feel as compelled to keep grinding away and having fun because it's like at the end of the thing is like, what's the surprise? I got 200 blue gems instead of 180 like I did last time.
Right.
Yeah.
Ew, yuck. Hey, Vacation Simulator.
Oh yeah.
Another VR thing. You are Mr. VR.
I
I'm very
am.
sorry. This is Job Simulator. I think one
He
of
just
the
looked at his watch.
it's like one of everybody's first VR experiences. I feel like Job Simulator was a good excuse to just throw stuff around.
Physics playground.
Yeah, eat a burrito, puke, all that fun stuff.
I made my mom play that in PSVR, and for some reason the headset got decalibrated. She put it on and immediately made her like 40 feet tall.
Oh, no.
And she just started swooning. So that's my story about Job
wow.
Simulator.
Are you sure she just didn't see Jeff when it started swooning?
That's true. I did hear her heartbeat.
Boom. How is Vacation Simulator?
It's okay. It's like it's a follow up to Job Simulator in that like it is very similar, right? It's like new areas. You're kind of doing similar things. You're solving these simple puzzles.
Realistically, just throw stuff around and have fun, though.
Yeah, it's mostly like a physics playground. Like there's just
Yeah.
things you can mess with. You can put there's like a waffle iron in one area that you can put anything in and turn into a waffle.
Yeah, we
which
did
is
a new
kinda
gameplay
silly.
today, and
Yeah.
I made Kyle go to an easel and draw a picture of a pretty lady, and
Oh.
then he made it into a waffle.
I took the picture, put in the waffle iron, and ate it. There's also, which is cool, which you'll see in the new gameplay today, is you have like a video camera in your backpack, and you can just set it anywhere in the environment, and that
Oh.
becomes the viewpoint of the people who are watching you play.
Oh, that's super fun.
So which we took advantage of that in the new gameplay today.
Oh, neat.
But it's not like I expected it to be a lot funnier. Because like that was like the charm of the first game is like these weird AI robots talking to you, but there weren't like a ton of jokes. There were some jokes in the end, and there's like a couple the missions had a couple jokes in them, but it's mostly just like like a weirdly straight on story about robots trying to figure out how humans have fun. But yeah, it still feels kind of like an early VR experience. Like it is if you've never played VR, it's like a good one to play. Like I would play
Okay.
this instead of Job Simulator.
Oh, you would?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's a Vacation Simulator. Jeff Cork, Hypnospace Outlaw is a game I did not know that we reviewed
Yeah.
until I saw it in the reviews section of GameInformer.com. You give the game an 8.5.
It's so good.
So this is like, it's simulating an old computer, and you're going through old websites, basically from the
like,
90s.
Yeah, you're like, it's 1999, and you are kind of like a mod on this thing called Hypnospace, which is like a virtual reality kind of thing that people engage with while they're sleeping. And then you're just that's kind of a weird, like, little wrapper on it that
Yeah.
I guess it kind of plays into a little bit. It's mostly just about looking at really ugly ass websites from yesteryear.
And you're trying to find out, like, okay, there's copywritten information here, so
Yeah, you
have
get
different
cases
things.
assigned to you. Like someone might say, "Hey, there's we're looking out. This kid has been harassing people, and you got to find out where it is." And you go to this page, and you're like, "I don't see it." And but he's alluding that he's got some secret site that he's not going to share with you, though. And then
Yeah.
you kind of have to poke around and figure out where it is. And then he's got this awful cartoon that he's made that's really mean about this other kid who's like a band dork.
So is it just funny overall? Or
It's
what-
super funny, and the puzzles are like surprisingly clever. Like you have to install software on this fake desktop to solve some of the puzzles, and or I should say cases. And they're
Yeah.
it's all puzzles.
Sure.
What are you gonna do? But it's a super great world building, and highly recommended.
Is this game going to make your top 10 games of the year?
Yeah, probably.
Wow, okay.
Because I'm not gonna play anything else.
Right,
so
right.
It's a lot.
Yeah, you've actually
I'm
cut
done.
your thumbs off.
It's actually
earlier
a
this
top
week.
4.
Okay, neat.
Yeah.
The old Jim Riley strategy. Hey, Kyle Hilliard,
Oh, me again.
Elder Scrolls Blades.
Yeah.
This is the mobile version of Elder Scrolls, which Bethesda confusingly launched in early access on
Yeah.
mobile.
It's still in early access. I
It's
guess.
labeled as early access.
You're playing it
yeah.
too. Did you touch it at all?
I touched it as and I did the opening fight and said, that's right. I don't like playing a lot of mobile games, and I
Yeah.
don't really like Elder Scrolls.
There are some things that I do like about it. It is a mobile game in that like it has things where you like collect chests and then you have to like you activate it and you have to wait 3 hours before you can open it.
'Cause it is free.
And you can use
Yeah.
gems, and that stuff sucks and it's frustrating. But I think the game looks pretty good.
Okay.
I like that they don't use a virtual D-pad because I just hate virtual analog sticks and D-pads. You just touch like on the ground in the environment and you walk towards it.
So more of a tactical approach.
Yeah, and then when fight, you just meet an enemy, you just engage in a fight, and then you get into that mode where you basically touch anywhere on the screen, and then it's like you just got to time it perfectly where a circle fills, and if you let go, you'll do a sword slash.
It's weird. Why not just use like Infinity Blades combat? It's right there. That was fun.
Yes, yeah, I think they just are to a fault keeping it as simple as possible because you can play it with just your thumb, like to touch the ground. You don't really have to swipe too much.
Yeah.
For the combat, there's a shield button, and then you have like icons on the bottom of the screen where you can do special attacks and stuff like that. But I think the thing that I'm like sort of getting frustrated about now, beyond the like frustrations of being like them wanting you to buy gems and stuff like that. Like I think it plays well, but like I'm doing a lot of the same missions over and over, and I'm going to the same areas over and over. Like I got to kill 6 goblins here, and then I go back, and it's like, all right, well, go back there and now kill 6 goblins again. And that's the stuff that's turning me off more than anything else.
Yeah. Are you guys shocked? Are we just in a bubble? It seems like free-to-play Elder Scrolls game. Seems like a lot of people would have gotten into it. I haven't seen anybody tweet about it. I feel like it's
not very exciting. Like it's when you play.
But was Fallout Shelter that exciting? Everybody was
It's a
obsessed
good-
with that for a while.
Yeah, I wonder if it was just the benefit of like it suddenly appearing, and it was kind of novel. I don't know.
Yeah.
This feels like This feels like a translation of Elder Scrolls to a mobile device, and a lot of things have had to be cut in order to simplify it. Where Fallout felt like its
new
own
experience.
game. you
Yeah,
know?
And Fallout felt like something people would want to play on a mobile game, kind of like that Tiny Towns,
Yeah.
style of managing a little community or whatever. Where if they had done Fallout, where you're tapping your way through an environment and tried to recreate that, I think people would be just as pissed. I think it's kind of like the Diablo one that's coming out. Like people don't want that kind of main experience on a smartphone.
Right. Are you going to keep playing it, Kyle?
Yeah, I think I will here and there. I'll see how long I go. But I haven't deleted it yet.
Hey, look at that.
Is it better than Skyrim VR?
Oh, that's a
why I
hard
asked.
question.
That's exactly why.
You're
I asked.
setting him up
Thank
for
you.
so much flaming
I know
online.
this. I don't know if I've said
Everyone's-
it before. I've never gotten more emails about anything I've ever done with Game Informer than when I posted my
90% of them
review.
have been me under aliases.
People just so pissed at what you gave it a 6 or something.
Yeah, I think it's the worst way to play Skyrim. But it is the full version of Skyrim.
See, there we go.
where
That's
this
cool.
is like a simplified kind of crappy version of Elder Scrolls.
Yeah,
guess.
I can't wait for you to get Breath of the Wild.
No,
in
which
VR.
is better, Kyle?
Yeah, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
better? I guess I would go Skyrim VR. I think.
Sell out.
Hey, you guys ready to get your Star Wars on?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Clap out together. Hey! Holy God, what's
Right.
happening here? We have Andrew Reiner, Joe Juba, JV Gwaltney, and Ben Reeves.
Hello.
Oh, wonderful to see you, Ben Reeves. I'm so glad one of you can speak because we have a lot to talk about here. We wanted to preempt Star Wars because we're smarter than them by talking about Star
We're
Wars.
outthink them. That's a force power, precognition.
Ooh, very good. What we're doing here is talking about Star Wars games. And it's like, okay, we can have a general discussion about, hey, there's some good Star Wars games, there's some bad Star Wars games. But there's a format that Ben Reeves has wanted to do on this podcast for at least 7 months of him screaming about, like,
More.
let's just bring in a short list of games and then just come to some sort of agreement about the official ranking for this specific podcast and not anything associated with Game Informer beyond that. Not to be confused with our top 30 Star Wars games that Reiner made a while
Not
ago.
our.
Yours.
I did that all myself. I was like, screw these guys. I don't want their input. I'm doing my own.
They call him
list.
Mr. Solo.
We
We're
kept saying it would never work, Rainer. We're not bound to like our top 300 order or anything like that.
right.
This is just
limitless.
us arguing right here for today. How many Star Wars
Absolutely.
games were even on the top 300?
I don't even know.
Probably 2.
We got a lot to talk about, Reeves. Here we go.
right.
Okay, so in no particular order, let's go around and see what everybody brought to this potluck, right? Reiner, what's your first game? So just the game, and then I'll
Just
type it down.
one or
so
all
no
4?
details yet. Just let's go one.
Okay. Doesn't get enough credit. Lego Star Wars. I'm
Now-
going to go with the complete saga.
Complete saga. Okay, that's a great addition. Joe Juba.
Super Empire Strikes Back.
Boy.
Good one.
Okay, JB.
Star Wars chess.
Shut
Out of here.
Ben Reeves.
Star Wars Rogue Leader.
Nice, Reeves.
Beautiful. I'll go with Star Wars Episode 1 Pod Racer.
Oh, very good.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, Reiner.
I'm going same system, Shadows of the Empire.
Oh, well, I played mine on PC, but I hear you. Okay.
Late to the party.
Knights of the Old Republic 2.
Yeah, baby. JV Goldie.
Dark Forces 2.
Wow. Okay, good.
Which is Jedi Knight.
Jedi Knight.
Okay.
I'm going with Force Unleashed.
Wow.
Oh, wow. That's what I
Force.
said when I played it.
Unleashed. My next one will be Star Wars, The Old Republic.
Oh, BioWare.
We haven't doubled any of these up yet.
That's pretty impressive.
actually.
Turns out there's a lot of these goddamn games.
We did not plan ahead here.
Ryan already got.
Star Wars Republic Commando.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
He plots his own choice. Jojuba.
TIE Fighter.
Oh boy. Okay. JP Goldman.
Star Wars Rebellion.
I don't know what that is, but I love it. Reeves.
I'm going to go with Super Star Wars.
Okay. Interesting. My next choice shall be Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds. Okay. Andrew Reiner.
How about a little Battlefront 2, the original
Battlefront
from
2.
2005?
Before everyone gets mad at you.
Exactly.
Okay. Jojuba.
No star
The
cards.
Masters of Terras Casa.
Yeah, baby. All right. JV Goldney.
Star Wars Rebel Assault.
Oh boy.
Oh,
Yeah,
boy.
okay,
I'm going to go with The Old Republic. No, wait. Knights of the Old Republic. The first one.
I can never remember that one. What is that one
What's it called? I know. It's what game.
It's an
that
obscure one.
Almost
my
never.
God.
Nobody talks about that one.
My last one is going to be Star Wars Yoda stories.
Wait, what is this?
We'll talk all about it. Okay. Is there any arguing what the bottom of this list should be and what the top
I
of
think
this
you
list
just
should be?
brought it up.
Yeah, Yoda stories.
Yoda stories at the bottom of the heap?
I don't know if Terras Casa's down there either, though.
Do you want to explain what Yoda stories is?
Yoda Stories is bizarre. So it was ported to the Game Boy Color in 1999.
From
It was
PC.
Yes, it was originally in 97 released as a PC game. I read online that it's the successor to a game called Indiana Jones and His Desktop Adventures.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
But this is, you star as Luke, and get this, reminder on this one.
Wait, you star as Luke?
You star as Luke going to Dagobah, and you get randomly generated missions that send you out to different places. And the entire framing is this is Luke completing his training between Empire and Return of the Jedi. They just shoehorn that in, like, yeah, he just came back and did it real quick, and then Jedi happened. It's not important.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a I guess in theory an adventure game where Yoda will give you different quests. We're like, okay, you get this lightsaber and you have to go to Hoth and do something boring and talk to people. It looks like garbage. And I couldn't find it in the vault. Do we have a Game Boy Color section, or are those just mixed in with the old
Yeah,
Game Boy
they're just
games?
in the Game Boy game.
Yeah, they're just in the
Okay.
Game Boy.
Have
We
you
don't
played
have
this?
it. I've never played it.
I've played it.
Really?
Yeah, the PC version.
Me too.
It was not great.
Okay.
It's one of those things where like the weirdness of it might make it special, though, I guess.
Right.
But
I mean,
it's real bad. There's no way around it.
Does it aggressively suck to the degree that Masters of Terras Casa does, though?
I think it's a worse game. If I had to play one game right now, I would much rather play Terras Casa than
Let's
Yoda
talk about the
Stories.
characters. Mara Jade, fan favorite from the expanded universe, which is gone.
Uh-huh.
What was the name of that Tusken Raider?
Whore?
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
H-O-A-R.
Yep. It had Boba Fett and also famed Boba Fett wannabe Jodo Cast.
Does he look just like Boba Fett?
Exactly like Boba
Mandalorian
Fett.
armor, like
Yeah.
the whole thing?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
The thing with, I'm sure Terras Casa, like, turned people away from Star Wars for the rest of their life.
And
like, I
fighting
think it
games.
destroyed people.
I disagree. As
It was
a
the last Jedi of its time.
How dare you? As a dumb kid, like I just had the demo for Terras Casa. I love playing it.
Oh, I
I
did
don't
too.
think it was like, this is a bad game. I think there's a lot of dumb kids like me that are like, what? Boba Fett fighting game? Great.
I mean, I'm
The game's
okay.
bad.
I brought
Oh,
this.
yeah, no doubt.
I brought this one to the table. I
Yes.
spent a lot of time in college playing this game. I mean,
College,
like,
well, that's indefensible.
well, but
Okay,
it was
what I'm
new
hearing
when I
here-
was in college.
What I'm
Anyway.
hearing here is Yoda stories should be last because nobody wants to play it. At least you'd
Okay.
spend time laughing at
Terras Casa.
Terras
Yeah.
Casa.
Plus, I got that cool shout out in Solo, so that's nice. I feel like it bumps up the list culturally
It's
a little bit.
more
I
relevant.
think culturally, Terras Casa did more damage.
Okay,
could be.
but also think about this. This is a game that has a Gamorrean guard and a Tusken Raider as fighters. Like, theoretically, they can beat, like, Luke Skywalker in a fight.
Well, it's the
This is a
Dragon Ball
game in
problem.
which Darth Vader can get his butt kicked by a sane...
Hey, everybody has a bad day.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine.
What are you gonna do?
Okay,
Just
fine.
completely imbalance it. What do you guys think is the next weakest? What is Star Wars Rebellion?
I don't know. We don't have
Star
a
Wars
list.
Rebellion is a very complicated strategy game that feels more like a board game that they turn into a PC game where like you build fleets. It's the Galactic Empire versus the Rebellion. Takes place, I'm not sure, in the original trilogy's universe. And it's just super complicated in an uninteresting way.
So you don't like it?
I do not like
Why
it.
did
Really
you play it?
mediocre command
Because it's
conquer.
interesting. I think it's interesting. I think I think bad Star Wars games are interesting in a way that like no other series bad games are interesting because they leverage like just their settings and their characters in interesting ways. Like they try to make the hero characters in that game like super powerful, but they're sort of weak and stuff.
It's odd. That's the beauty of Star Wars, is just like with so many games, they've had so many things to focus on. And like I think of episode 1 pod racing here, right?
Yeah.
Of just like, we all liked that scene in the movie and then didn't really give it much thought beyond that. Outside of Reiner, maybe I'm sure he had dreams for weeks thinking about that pod racing
I think he
sequence.
built one. Yeah.
I still love pod racing.
But it's so weird to play that game and then be soaked in that world for so long. It's like, all right, now I have an emotional connection to Gas Gano because I like the design of his pod racer, and you get really invested in that nonsense. Or who could forget everybody's favorite Slide Paramita or Aldar Beto, other racers in
His
there.
backstory is so great.
But also, like,
I thought it controlled fun because you use the triggers, and I didn't see that a lot in games like that.
Well, you could use 2 controllers, right?
Is that
as
right?
the individual engines.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I think you're on the
Was that as big of a disaster as it sounds like?
Yeah, it didn't work out.
it sounds great.
But
to
it
do.
was so cool. You know, everybody
Yeah.
had 2 controllers from fighting games, so
Yeah.
it was like, yeah, why
I
not
would have
try it?
totally been one of those asshole kids who did that, like to try and show off to his friends. Look at me, guys! Right into a wall.
Yeah, I still love that game just for the sound design alone. Like, I appreciate the sound design in Star Wars Episode 1 in particular. But then, like, playing that game and just, like, getting to soak in Sebulba's, like, the sound of his pod. It's so good.
You don't give the game credit for
I know,
reusing an
but
awesome
that's what I'm
sound
saying.
effect from
I
the
give
movie.
the game credit for letting me focus on this one aspect of the movie for so long that I appreciated things about the
hauled
film more.
ass and was fun.
Yes.
No,
There
it's
we
super
go.
fun.
And Sebulba had a flamethrower, which he's the only person with a weapon, which was completely unfair. I don't know exactly why that was allowed. I'm putting Pod Racer around like middle of the heap.
Yeah, that sounds. Well, it's a
know,
middle of the road game, but our list might be a little top heavy.
Okay.
Man, I don't know about that. Like, I played it recently, the PS2 version.
Yeah.
I think, what
There
is
was a
Sebulba's
sequel.
Revenge? Because
Sure.
they put it on PS4. And
Oh, yeah.
It still holds up. Like, it's real fun.
But that's a different game, to be
That
fair.
is true.
Okay.
That
I
is a
hear
different
ya.
game.
Okay, let's start at the top. What do we think is the number one?
Well, hold on. Let's throw Lego Star Wars on there. I think that's.
Oh, it's on there. Okay.
Well, no, that's like in the bottom heap of all these
Oh, you
games
think so?
mentioned. Yeah.
Really?
Okay. Oh, what do you like
I
about
think it's
Lego
in the
Star
middle.
Wars, Reiner?
I put it above Racer, actually.
What do I like about it?
Mm-hmm.
You get to play as everyone. I mean, absolutely everybody. Like, that's so cool. And play with friends and relive the moments in kind of wacky ways. And they do like different interpretations of what happened in those moments. Those games are great.
They are fun.
That's
yeah.
not bottom of the heap.
Would it be
They're
a-
all
that's-
good though.
Would it
Well,
be
no, but
above
it's-
or below Racer then?
Below.
question.
According to my
Really?
list, I had
Wow.
it number 29, and I don't. Racer was 11.
But what does that guy know?
Yeah.
I
I don't
disagree.
know.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's certainly not better than, or it's certainly not worse than Star Wars chess.
What is Star Wars chess all
should
about?
not even be on this list.
What is it?
It's literally what the name, like it's just a PC game where all the pieces are characters for the
Do
franchise.
you know Battle Chess?
Yeah.
It's
love it.
Battle Chess, but with Star Wars.
They have fatalities for all the.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
the-
There's some of
like-
them are really gruesome, like
That sounds
shockingly
cool.
gruesome.
Like what?
At one point, Chewbacca rips guys' arms off.
Does it look like hollow chess?
No, it just
They're blown.
It looks
at
like
that.
battle chess.
It's
Okay.
very
Okay.
It's spritey.
Okay. Would you say it's worse than Star Wars Rebellion?
No, I think it's above Star Wars Rebellion, but it's still at the bottom. Like
It's
Okay.
weird because
Okay.
it's still chess. Like, it's still probably the greatest game ever made. So like, you have to give it a weird bump there.
Is chess better than Tetris?
No. I think Tetris is better than chess.
Yeah, there you go.
Does anybody disagree?
No, I don't even.
That's
wanna
what we
think. I don't
came
want
here
to
to
think
argue.
about
We're
that.
not debating that's a different list.
Okay, yeah,
All right.
Rebellion's bad too.
Rebellion's real bad.
I mean,
Okay.
does everybody else agree with this Lego Star Wars below Racer?
I think
You're
I think
acting as though we can see this list and are
I'm
looking
putting
at it.
Lego
Well,
Star Wars above
That's what
Racer.
Reiner had said, so that's why I'm bringing it up.
Okay. I think Lego Star Wars is better than
This is
Pod
why I
Racer.
didn't consult you guys when I made my list.
All right.
All right, well, speak now, forever hold your peace.
I think
Joe?
Pod Racer is better than Lego. Personally.
Really?
Yes.
JV knows what's up. I would consult with him. Except he brought up that chess crap.
That seems like a big problem to me. Like, also, Lego Star Wars kicked off this whole trend of Lego games.
It is very important.
I mean, going.
I think
was
importance,
funny.
influence counts for something.
Okay, I'll put it up there.
I like it above.
Joe, were you going for the top of this list right now? Is that where you're going before you're derailed?
He was.
I think it's easier to fill out the top and bottom,
Sure.
and
Right.
I think there are some slam dunks in
See where the
terms of the
bodies
top
lay.
of the list.
What do we all agree is number one?
Let's go back to the middle of the list.
Like I don't know if you can debate that Knights of the Old Republic is the best Star Wars game ever.
I don't think there's any debating it.
No,
Does anyone want to try?
HK-47, it is a masterpiece.
Yeah. What do you guys remember about playing that? What was like the hype
Everything.
like in the office, Reiner? Did people know it was going to be this slam dunk?
We had the exclusive review.
Oh, really?
Like a month before it came out, and I was just losing my freaking mind playing that game. It was unbelievable. You know, like the amount of choice you had, and whether you went Sith or good guys. At any time, like it was amazing. It
And
really
like
was.
every line of dialogue was like voiced, which back then was somewhat novel. Like it was just like amazing. It felt like you were playing this epic. I mean, it was an RPG, but it felt like you were in this epic world for the first time.
And this was also at a phase where it was like the sort of binary good and evil choice feels real outdated to us here.
Right.
But this was a time when like the concept of choice in games was really just sort of in an early phase. And
Yeah.
in terms of like giving you choices and having them play out and give you consequences in a satisfying way, right?
And the other thing, like up to that point, Star Wars games were very much like you versus the Empire or whatever. This gave you an ensemble. It had that magic that you had from all those movies, right? Where it was a group effort, and you got to know those people you were with.
Just you and Karth.
bond with them.
Oh man, it's so sweet. I remember there's that sweet moment too when obviously, hey, Darth Revan, it's revealed it's you. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't you have the option of going and killing Mission, that little girl, and her Wookiee buddy?
Yeah, I still think like the choices in that game still hold up, even if they are super binary, because you could be deliciously evil.
Oh, yeah.
in
Like,
that game in like unexpected ways.
Someone hiding in a locker, and you just put your saber through it. Like it's like holy crap.
I remember it punished me because I was like, oh, I'm playing the cool route where I make some good choices, some evil choices. So I was right in the middle, and then it's like, okay, you just don't get anything interesting then.
Yeah.
Good
Oh, really?
job, idiot.
Huh.
Yeah.
and I
yeah,
think
you
part of
really
the-
need to commit.
Yeah.
Part of their writing was like, you have HK-47, who you just immediately fall in love with, but he has all sorts of bad ideas for you to do, and you kind of latch onto that to a degree. Like
Yeah.
I found myself like being suckered by that droid.
Yeah.
And it's
The
like
assassin droid.
the game was so complex and had so many different aspects, and it's so dumb that when I look back on it, I remember like, okay, fighting the Rancors. I remember finishing it and thinking, this is my third favorite game of all time. And then I also remember just loving customizing lightsaber colors. Like, oh, my Basila's going to have one red and one blue.
Yeah.
That's going to be so sweet looking.
Dual wielding.
And and optimizing the different crystals for like different
Effects.
effects
Yeah.
and stat boosts.
But we could gush about this forever.
Yeah.
One more thing though, that game probably has like the best twist, right? Except maybe BioShock.
I mean, the end of that game, people still talk about it. It got me. Like, I was surprised by it, and that's one
Yeah.
of the reasons I liked it.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best twist in a game.
There's an interesting case to be made there, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, just a shout out to a character which I just remembered now. That idiot that lived in the bottom of Kashyyyk, Joe Lee, wasn't that his name?
Jolie Bindo.
Jolie Bindo. That idiot.
That sounds like he was named by Lucas.
Okay, what do you think is the second greatest Star Wars game of all time?
I would say Rogue Leader.
Rogue Leader second greatest.
Out of the ones that are picked, here,
Yeah.
The ones that we've
I
got
mean,
on
what
the
else are you
table.
going to pick?
Interesting.
I would go Battlefront 2.
No, you're talking the original.
Original
right?
Battlefront 2.
Just to be clarified.
Why Battlefront 2 over Battlefront 1 for the originals?
I mean, more content, more options, more cool characters to play as. Kind of the Lego argument, right? Like,
Yeah.
it just had a ton.
You couldn't play as Jedi in the first one.
Oh, Leo
Only the
Vader
second
from
one.
the booth.
Wow. Hey, guys.
Thanks for chiming in, man.
Yeah,
That's
that game was cool.
That's interesting.
AT-ATs.
Yeah, that's true. Tell me about Rogue Leader, Reeves. I never played these.
Oh, really? So
No.
it's like the kind of the third game, I think, from level 5, Factor 5. And it's a space shooter, but it first came out on GameCube, and it just looked amazing. It looked like real life in my memory of it. And I think it still looks pretty good.
Your life is awesome.
Yeah, my life is a digital recreation.
No, this is the third one, right? Because there was Rogue Squadron.
Isn't the
Or
second
no,
one of these-
Rogue Leader, and then Rebel Leader?
Yeah, Rebel Strike.
Rebel Strike.
I think.
Yeah,
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 Which was the
this-
one where you could get out of your X-Wing and run around and
that
stuff?
was
Rebel
the third
Strike.
one, which was bad.
Okay, got it.
That became a disaster, yeah.
But yeah, there was Rogue Squadron before this, which I almost picked, and that was also really good. But that was like on the N64, and so this one just looked better. It was a little more refined. It was awesome flights. I know like X-wing TIE Fighter people would
we
probably
didn't-
argue,
no one brought that
which we
up.
did not bring
No,
up
he
because
didn't.
Bertz isn't here. But yeah, For me, like my
Oh, yeah,
favorite
you're right,
shooter was Rogue Leader, and it was a little bit hard, but like that's what made it so fun. Is like that kind of once you finally mastered a mission and could do all the objectives.
Yeah.
it's just the best feeling in the world.
Joe?
Here's my argument for TIE Fighter above Rogue Leader.
Please.
Is that it has to do with the sense of actually like not only looking real, because Rogue Leader definitely has the advantage there, but feeling real to me is where like TIE Fighter really pulls away.
Because it gets more systemic and
Well, and on GameCube, you're sitting there playing with that terrible controller as
Hey,
you're like
take it
flying
back,
around.
man. Take it
but
back.
in TIE Fighter on PC, there's something about like, okay, you've got the flight stick in front of you. You're like flying around
Not
with
everybody.
that. You're going to, it's like, okay, I need to redirect shields. You're like going to your keyboard, redirecting shields, switching to torpedoes. There's something about the like TIE piloting experience there.
Right.
You pick the
That-
third best of the X-Wing series.
Oh,
X-Wing,
really?
X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, and then
Yeah.
TIE Fighter was
according to you. What makes TIE Fighter great is that you are exclusively on the Empire side of things.
Yeah.
Right.
So instead of doing the same old song and dance that you see in all the movies and all the games of like you're the rebellion fighting the Empire, you're like trying to impress Darth Vader and
that's
the Emperor.
very fun. And there's no like Battlefront 2, current Battlefront 2 like twist of like, oh, now I might become good after all.
No. You get like Force lightning tattoos depending on how evil you are and how initiated into
badass.
the Emperor's favor you are.
That's so good.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
pretty
that
cool.
game's story is really dark. I remember playing it when it first came out, and there was just nothing like it in video games that I had played.
Yeah.
The final mission is you get to be Darth Vader's wingman as you go to like save the Emperor who's been kidnapped.
That sounds fun.
It's awesome.
I think
That's up
there's a
there.
mission where you shoot a civilian freighter.
Probably.
too.
I mean, I
It
did
is-
that all
it
the
is,
time
like,
anyway.
super
so,
evil.
Yeah, it's great.
It is
Right.
weird because I always hear people talk about the X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, not TIE Fighter though.
But it's just more pure evil. I got
Yeah, I
it.
guess. And
Reiner,
it's
how well do you
Joe.
think Shadows of the Empire holds up?
not great.
But does that matter?
Well, I mean, no. I mean, this is more historic, like why I brought it up, right?
Yeah.
Like, that was a moment, like, right around the launch of N64, having a new Star Wars story that kind of wedged in between the others. It was cool. Like, Expanded Universe was just starting to take off. You had the Dark Horse comics, and then you had this novel and the game and the toys that all came out at once.
Yeah.
It was a moment.
I just couldn't get over Dash Rendar.
It's a very good name.
Prince Shizor. And Dash Rendar's fake Millennium Falcon, the Outrider.
Outrider.
Yeah. It's no Eben Hockey.
Yeah, the
You
Ebon
started
Hawk's
on
another
Hoth.
fake Millennium Falcon.
I mean, you started Battle of Hoth, which every Star Wars video game eventually touches on.
Again, baking in the sound of like, I hear a probe droid, my brain
Yeah,
is immediately
it's amazing.
satiated because of that game. It just
I'm just
drove
going to
that
keep saying
specific
all
sound
these are
effect.
amazing.
The also I love Kyle had that detail when he talked to the director of Shadows of the Empire a while ago, where he said that Miyamoto looked at the game and then said like, "Do you not even care about your animations?"
Oh, really?
Something like that.
Coming from
just a
Miyamoto, too. You're
mess.
like, what? What's going on here?
Hey, Super Empire Strikes Back and Super Star Wars. Let's pit these two idiots against each other.
Empire is definitely better.
Yep.
Why is that?
I think in addition to just like there's more variety in the kinds of gameplay things that you're doing, it's also got the Hoth level and the Darth Vader duel at the end.
Right.
Oh, is that the one where Darth Vader's a bird or something?
A scorpion?
Scorpion? Is that what it is?
No,
that's
no, no.
NES
That's
stuff.
the NES version.
That's
Okay.
not even in the U.S. That's a Famicom.
Yeah.
These
Okay.
are, I think I played Empire Strikes. Ooh, no, I played. Is there a Super Return of the Jedi?
Yeah.
Okay, they were brutally difficult, right?
Yeah.
Or was I
they
just
were
a dumb kid?
absurdly difficult. Yeah.
But you remember beating this stuff as a kid there, Joe?
I definitely beat him. Yeah.
I don't think I beat. I just wanted to talk about Super Star Wars because I played it a ton as a kid, but I probably only got halfway through the game. But I loved being able to do the Force jump, which was cool, and like it felt like it had like Luke's powers. And
It
I
was
loved-
like, was it a double jump or was it just a super jump?
I think it was just a really high jump in my
Okay.
memory of it. But then also like using the lightsaber and all that stuff was super fun as a kid, and that was like the only place you could do that.
Yeah.
Outside of your imagination.
Right?
But I agree. Like I didn't play Empire Strikes Back, but like everybody has higher regard for that, so I'm willing to put that ahead.
Done.
But I think they should both be like next to each other. Or, like
Yeah.
Yeah,
kinda
they are
full-
sister games. in a
Would
way.
you guys put them below Racer though, or above?
I put them above Racer.
I'd say above.
All right.
All right. Reiner Republic Commando. That was a weird one out of the blue. Everybody,
Yeah.
I feel like, wasn't expecting much from that, at least amongst my circle of friends. I was like, wait, this game's actually good? I actually have to play this thing?
Yeah, I know a lot of people bag on the prequels, but getting the clones from those, like the Clone Army, there's so many great stories that came from that, and this is one. This isn't one of them, but the concept is cool, right? Those characters are really neat, and the way they're used as a group is cool, and that's what made that game tick. The best Clone Wars stories were in the animated series and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, playing as that group was awesome, especially like it was kind of, I think it was Xbox exclusive. That was a nice exclusive for them, on a system that didn't have many of them.
And as the game programmer Brett Duville talked about before on this podcast, he said that in a meeting with George Lucas, George Lucas said, we need more personality in these clone troopers or whatever. We need to have different voices. How about we have them all voiced by Robin Williams?
Really?
And they said, Robin Williams, like as a joke, like, no, literally, let's try and get Robin Williams to voice every character in this game. Because I guess Robin Williams lived right next to George Lucas, but it just didn't happen, apparently.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, it's weird how that didn't line up.
It was also on PC, but you guys know what I mean.
Oh, I see.
Probably
Yeah,
almost happened.
Totally got
So, would you put Republic Commando above Shadows of the Empire? you think?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. No doubt about it. Here's a weird one. Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight. What's going on with this thing?
I would put that pretty high. I think even outside of nostalgia, because I had to think about that one a while. Like, was that a game that I actually loved playing because I was young and stupid? But I think it does a lot of interesting things.
Yeah.
It's almost got an immersive semi quality to it, and like how you choose your powers and how you sort of go throughout levels. Like, you can use persuasion to make enemies not see you. There are tons of secret hidden paths in the game. Like, at one point you can meet Sam and Max. And
weird.
A village is
Wait,
an
the
Easter
detectives?
egg. Yeah, the detectives. Because it was LucasArts.
Oh, I guess.
Do they try and do some cute phrasing for what species Sam and Max
I don't
are?
think they actually. No, I don't think Sam and Max actually talk. But if you attack them, they murder you.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. But yeah, there was just a lot to like about that game. It was also, I know the lightsaber combat was made better later on with the sequel and stuff. But I feel like that was the first game with a lightsaber and like first person that almost pulled it off. Like, it was fun at the time and it was interesting, even though boss battles could be frustrating.
Yeah, what was the third one called?
Jedi Academy.
Jedi Academy.
I feel like we did a replay on Dark Forces 2 in the last couple of years. That does not hold up.
Yeah.
No,
No.
it doesn't.
It's still cool in its era. Okay.
I remember
Yeah.
everybody talking about it when it came out, though, and like, this is the best Star Wars game. It's like the best shooter.
I think
Even
for the
people were
time it
saying-
was.
Yeah.
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 In a similar vein, Easter eggs, a twist on established genre, Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds was made. It seemed like it was co-developed by LucasArts and Ensemble, and was built on the Age of Empires 2 engine. And it also had a fun Easter egg where you could get a killer Ewok. Spawn him in if you're just playing like a campaign mission or something like that, and then you would just absolutely murder everybody. But it came out in 2001, so it's like this weird space where it's like, okay, you got the Empire, you got the Rebellion. What other races we got here? What else can we include? So it's like, you can play as Wookiees, Royal Naboo. It's like, all right, they have that one cool yellow ship, I guess.
Sure.
And then the Gungans. Gungans was just an entire race. It was just like weird pulling it.
So this is a game where you could theoretically control a Gungan army and just watch them get slaughtered?
Absolutely. You can just have
that's high on this
AT-ATs
list.
march
That's
on
high
there.
on this list.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Why
like
not
this
Ewoks?
game a lot.
Like, that would have been fun.
I think because they probably wanted to be current and modern.
lame.
And nothing's more modern than a Wookiee, apparently. But it was also cool because you could be like, you could also be the Trade Federation. And so you could have those sweet droids, the ones that like roll and have the invincible shields. Made me love those things because I got to play with them so
so
much.
where on this list would you put that?
I'll put that right below Super Star Wars. Right
Alright.
above Lego Star Wars.
Above Lego Star Wars. It's surprising me how far Lego Star Wars is going, but
It's getting punished left and right.
getting punched.
Hey, what do you guys think about Rebel Assault?
No.
I don't remember that game.
No.
What is that?
All right, fun story.
Two
real
is better.
What, two's better?
Yeah.
I mean, low bar, but okay.
Which ones are these?
They're like that. They're weird, like FMV, almost arcade games that were on PC.
It's like Dragon's Lair, kind of.
Yeah,
What?
very-
I
like, there
wanna
were
see
reaction
this.
games, but they had really bad
And some
acting.
shooting, yeah.
Yeah, but the
That sounds
first
awesome.
level opens up with you going through whatever the canyon is on Tatooine that everybody talks about. The
Beggars Canyon?
Yeah, Beggars Canyon, and it's super hard because, especially with the joystick, because it's basically just left, right, Dragon or Dragon's Lair, and so my dad bought it for us, and we had a joystick, and I started playing it all the time, and I couldn't get past this first level, and I complained about it to him. I was like, Dad, I can't do it. This game sucks. He's like, you don't know what you're doing, blah blah blah, because he was a huge gamer, and so he sat down, and he's like, I'll show you how to do it, and so he started playing it, and he couldn't get past it. And he just walked away. Like, he got really mad and just walked away. It's like, yeah, this is dumb.
All right, so because of JV's dad, that's
it's number one.
just above Star Wars
ate some
chess.
humble
Okay,
pie.
great.
Yes, it was really satisfying.
KOTOR 2.
Yeah.
There we go.
It's a bad rap.
I think that's a top half game.
I think it is absolutely a top
Yeah.
half game. I have never played it, but I desperately
Really?
want to. No,
I mean,
no.
I feel like that game often falls into the same category as like Far Cry 2 and stuff of like, there's a lot here that's interesting
Yeah.
that makes it, that puts it above its flaws that people keep talking about years after. And
It-
that, at a certain point, its flaws become part of its charm.
It reminds me of BioShock too, where it's kind of overshadowed by the game that came before it, as like established everything. And in some ways, it's kind of like doing the same thing, but also I think it's better than people remember it, especially
Right.
when it came out in the time. It's
Yeah.
super buggy too is the other problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no denying that game has technical problems and also a whole mess of issues at the ending.
Matt Burt said you don't get a lightsaber for the first like 20 hours
He's
or
been
something.
complaining about that for a decade. He just didn't play it right.
Also, like I've heard interviews with Chris Avallone talking about writing the story and how he really wanted to push that idea of just like, having some other people rise up and say like, F this, like the tyranny of the Sith, the tyranny of the Jedi. We don't need that anymore.
Yeah.
And now it's so fun seeing those themes reemerge in Last Jedi in a strange way with Luke's monologues he's always rambling on about.
Was that Malgus? Darth, who was in Knights of the Old Republic? too?
Nihilus.
Nihilus.
It's there are three Darths. It's Nihilus, Traya, and
Icky.
I forget the other guy's name. Scion, maybe.
Force Unleashed.
I like that. I think it's an upper half game. I would put it near KOTOR 2.
Above Republic Commando for Force Unleashed.
Nope.
Below Republic
Really?
Commando.
I put
You
it pretty
wouldn't
low
put
on
it
that
above
list.
Commando.
I'd
I mean,
put it
the
higher.
first one. I think the
It's so much
first
fun.
one
Yeah.
is so fun. Like it. Unlike a lot of these other Star Wars games, I felt like I actually had force powers when I was playing this game. Like it just did such a good job of like giving you command of being able to pick up things, throw things. Like in your lightsaber combat was fun.
Played as Vader and annihilated an entire Wookiee.
That was the
village.
opening level.
Yeah,
just
that
like the
was
training level was just kill all these Wookiees.
It's
Go
like-
after Jolie Bindo down south.
Gosh. Yeah, there's that scene in what's the Rogue One where
Yeah.
Darth Vader shows up. It reminded me of that game.
Right,
I was
right.
like, that's so cool.
I don't think it's a great Star Wars experience, in the traditional Star Wars way, but it is damn fun to play that game.
I think my problem with it is since like I'm so into narratives and games, like that one felt like it had like the worst problems of all the extended universe stuff. Like, oh, Darth Vader had an apprentice that we never heard about in
Yeah.
the original trilogy ever, and
Well,
he kind of sucks.
And then
Totally.
and then Darth Vader betrayed him, but then not really. But no, then he did.
Yeah.
And there's like, that story is awful.
terrible.
The nice thing is that we never have to worry about it again because it's been kicked out of the window.
It's not a real story anymore.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
No one remembers it now. I played it on DS. Anyways, last game on here is the Old Republic, which is an interesting one to try and figure out where this is positioned.
Right in the
Ryan,
middle.
Did you play Old Republic?
Yeah, I did.
I think that game also gets a bad rap, or people just don't talk about it. Like I think the story beats in that game were really strong. Like
How
it
far
was,
did you get?
I think I got near the end. I probably played like
Level
30
cap.
or 40 hours, something
Or
like
how
that.
many plot lines were there? 8 or something like that?
I think there were 9 total.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah,
Bounty
yeah.
Hunter, Sith Warrior, Imperial Agent, Sith Inquisitor, Trooper, Smuggler, Jedi Knight, and Jedi
I
Counselor.
mean, it was all those were lengthy. Like,
Yeah.
Like super long narratives. Yeah, that game was cool.
and they continued to support it for a long time afterwards,
Yeah.
right? Like with just constant DLC.
And they made it free, which expanded the player base. Leo, weren't you saying some insane stuff about the free version, like what they limited?
Oh yeah, you couldn't sprint until you're like level 20 unless you paid for the membership.
You can't sprint.
Take that, gamers.
That's so sad. I played it before that though, and I had a great time running through that. Basically, just playing it as a solo experience.
We played at launch, and that's when the server queues were ridiculous. You'd be
Yeah.
waiting like 3 hours to get into your game.
Right.
Man, we had some serious problems back then.
Okay, but also the commercials they made for that game are
The
rad.
CG
Yes.
movies.
Yeah, there's
all
some
the
really cool
trailers.
things,
Yeah.
Do we think it's better than KOTOR 2? Old Republic?
No.
No.
Are we putting it below Force Unleashed?
Yes.
No.
I think I might go above it.
Yep.
Put it
Okay.
above Force Unleashed.
What do you guys
Sure,
think of this
go for
list
it.
here?
It's
Starting
crap.
from the bottom, working our way up.
Okay.
Star Wars Yoda Stories, Masters of Terrascasi, Star Wars Rebellion, Star Wars Chess, Star Wars Rebel Assault, Pod Racer, Lego Star Wars, Galactic Battlegrounds, Super Star Wars, Super Empire Strikes Back, Shadows of the Empire, Force Unleashed, The Old Republic, Republic Commando, KOTOR 2, Dark Forces 2, Jedi Knight, Star Wars Rogue Leader, TIE Fighter, Battlefront 2, the original, Knights of the Old Republic.
Wait,
I
what?
resent how far down pod race.
You know what?
That's bullshit.
I feel like we did it for the haphazard approach we took to that list.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty good to me.
It's pretty bad, but the good thing is we talked about Star Wars, guys.
It's beautiful.
For a long time.
I have a feeling we'll be talking about Star Wars for a long time to come. Reiner, next week, will you tell us all about your trip?
I will tell you everything I saw. Jedi Fallen Order debut will be at the show, so we'll have some details on that. And
my
episode
God.
9.
Oh, yeah, and that
And
little thing.
Mandalorian.
That'll be
and
awesome.
the Clone Wars.
For now, do you guys want to move on to emails?
Let's do it.
Here we go. And welcome back to the Game Informer Show. I'm still here, joined by Kyle Hilliard, Sergio Vasquez,
Hey.
Dan Tack.
Hey, it's good to be here.
It's real good to be here.
It's real good to be here.
You know how this works?
I think I've done this a few times.
Okay, great. Every week, we look through the inbox, podcast@gameinformer.com, choose some very smart questions, read them off on the show, and then choose our absolute favorite and honor where that person is from by officially proclaiming it God's country and putting a pin in the big board.
The big board.
Yeah, people wrote in with so many beautiful things. Honestly, some week it'd be kind of fun to read every single question in there because there's a lot of them. But there's always like
Everyone?
It's a fun idea, but a lot of it's like a little self-serving, a little ass-kissy, and it's like, oh, it would be nice because there's so many good sentiments in there.
But you love those emails.
I avoid as many as I can, but they're very sweet. So thank you everybody that watches or listens to the show. Dan, do you have a message for people watching or listening?
Thank you so much for watching. And send in what you think we can do better, and we'd love to hear it.
Anything that makes the show better, podcast@gameinformer.com. You getting sick, Dan?
I got a little something, just like
Your voice is a little funky.
Yeah.
It sounds good, though.
It's just a touch. It's inflection.
I think he's coming down with a case of NPR.
It's a virulent disease.
Okay, first emails from Matt Patrone. If that sounds familiar, it should. He says, hello again, Ben. So Dan Tack's motivating words help me to reach into my soul and pound the blazing bull in Sekiro after last week's podcast.
Nice. That's great.
He defeated him. Thanks, guys, he says. But the Guardian Ape, what a crazy boss.
So he's made it quite far since the Blazing Bull. It's
Oh,
good.
really?
Yeah, it's quite a
Here's the thing:
it's
if you
quite a
can
ways.
get to the Guardian Ape, you can beat the game. It's a matter of like you've proven yourself to the point where you're learning the encounters. Probably by now, he's probably got the ape down.
Gotta get that ape down. What about J.V. Gwaltney, who quit like 3 bosses away from the ending or something?
I don't know exactly where he quit.
Yeah.
And there is a fail safe at the end of the game. I didn't know about it during my playthrough, but there is a way to basically, the game is not about leveling. You can basically level up later on in the game if you acquire
Really?
a certain item. Yeah.
Interesting. So you're gonna coach JV to do that?
It's just like because the final bosses are all very difficult. They're the hardest
Yeah.
stuff in the game, so you can kind of hedge your bets a little bit if you want to go grind.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
We're hoping to maybe record an episode of Spoiled with Serial because you beat the game as well.
Yeah.
What do you think of it?
I like it a lot.
Where would you rank it?
Oh, here
Gun to your
Over-
head.
over
Here we
there.
go.
In terms of what? Game
Souls
of the year?
games.
Or-
Soulsborne.
It's probably my favorite one.
Really?
Yeah.
Over Bloodborne?
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I'm the crazy guy who didn't really like Bloodborne as much as the other ones. But yeah, this is probably the one I've liked the most. for
Well,
sure.
good. I hope you guys did that Spoiled, and then people can find that on our YouTube channel
I hope
or
so, too.
GameInformer.com. Okay, first real email here is Adam from Lake Charles, Louisiana? Yeah. He says, hey, first time, long time, and all that. Great. So with E3 seeming pretty light to me and Ubisoft confirming their slot for their press conference, what would you want to see from them? You know the inevitable Just Dance will show up with their weird choreographed show. I will defend that. I think that's fun every year. But imagine them taking a different take on the genre, making it a battle royale, like a Tetris 99 with the last 2 in a big dance-off Star-Lord style. Honestly?
That's not a bad idea.
Do we
I
know
could
that
see
mode's
them
not in
doing
Just
that.
Dance already?
It can very well do that. I'm curious if Just Dance, what is this, going to be 2020?
2019. Oh, yeah, 2020. Yeah.
Okay, I wonder if that one's going to be released on the Wii. Because we talked about it a while ago, but it's still crazy. I think 2019
Yeah,
was released
it
on
was.
the original Wii. Oh my. Anyways, what would you guys like to see at E3? Remakes, remixes, or new IPs? Love the show. I think it's fun to focus on Ubisoft specifically here.
Yeah, the first part of that question, I think, is interesting. Is the most interesting part where it says, I think E3 is going to be really light. I don't think it's going to be light at all.
I don't think so.
Um,
Everybody is a snob. Everyone says, oh, what's the point of even going? And then it's still a mountain of effing games.
Everybody's going to be there. It's just they don't want to be there in the way that they have been, right?
They want to
Like
lower
that's-
expectations a little bit. I think Sony not being there is just one of those things where they kind of know what they have down the pipe. People already know, so they're not going to make a big show. But I think other companies have things that they're going to announce.
Yeah, there's going to be
There's still going to
more
be
than
tons
enough
of
to talk
information.
about.
They just might not be on the floor.
Right.
Because everyone's trying to get off that floor. It's going to be like a hot dog stand pretty soon, you know?
Hot lava over
Yeah.
there. Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, to address the actual question.
Yes.
Splinter Cell? Yeah.
They mentioned
So-
like that they kind of don't want to do one just
You
because
asked
of
what
fan
I wanted.
expectations. Sure. But I would definitely want to see another Splinter Cell.
What if they save the Splinter Cell reveal for a Google Stadia press conference?
Do you think Google will have a press
I think they will.
conference?
I don't know.
Why not?
But I would imagine they
I don't know
would.
that would make me more excited.
They're so cagey about like, we'll see you again in the summer. We'll see you again in the summer. Like,
Throw another press conference on there.
yeah,
It's all
why
good.
not? There's plenty
a
of
slot
room.
open.
There's so much room.
That's
It's
right.
like it'd be stupid for them not to do that. And I think
Yeah.
that they are trying to corner every traditional aspect of the market. Like I was at the GameStop Managers Expo last year, and the Google was already there in a big way, which was confusing. But it's like if they're going to that show, I'd imagine they're going to go to E3. You know what I
Handing
mean?
out business cards for Google. Use Google.com for all
Honestly,
your search needs.
they had a Google panel at this GameStop Expo.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
And well, of course, nothing surprises you, Dan. But I went to it because I'm like,
Well,
what could they-
actually, he surprised Dan because he said Sekiro
You're
is
right.
his favorite Souls.
Yeah,
That,
you're
that
right.
did surprise. God, that's wrong.
I have the deflect down.
Wow.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Better than Bloodborne. That's shocking.
Oh, boy, I don't know.
You can jump.
Anyways, that Google
That's the definitive.
Got a little Mario in it. I like
All
that.
right, whatever.
little Mario in it. Anyways, yeah, at that
Anyways.
panel, it was just like YouTube trivia and stuff. Like they were clearly just killing time, but they wanted to make their face known.
They're
so,
there.
yeah, they're going to be there. Anyways, from Ubisoft though, Splinter Cell, because it was
Splinter Cell?
leaked through that Walmart listing where everything else was correct. Well, Borderlands 3 was on there too. But I
There's a
guess
bunch
that-
of stuff on there.
That checks out. So maybe it was just forward looking a little bit. So I could see Splinter Cell. Yeah. But you have to do the math, right? And remember that it's like, okay, that's the Starlink Battle for Atlas team. That's Toronto that made the last Splinter Cell. So has enough time passed since that game?
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe
Okay.
they'll put
They
Sam
probably
Fisher
started.
in.
They put it in the oven a little earlier, and it's probably been cooking for a while.
Sure. What's that, Lord Kyle?
I said maybe they'll put Sam Fisher in Starlink.
Ooh, yeah, that'd be a thing.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Yeah, known for his piloting skills for sure.
It has to be ending on Watch Dogs 3.
We're probably
right?
exactly. We're
yeah.
going to see that.
Yeah.
What about a Wildlands 2?
That's possible.
Because I think that's more popular than we kind of realize.
It's been slowly just selling like gangbusters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think we see another Mario and Rabbids?
Yeah,
That's a good bet.
yeah. I think we do.
that's a real safe bet.
Things I want to
Skull
see.
and Bones.
Oh yeah, that
Can we
game.
get that game sometime? Do we not want that game anymore? I've wanted that game since the first reveal.
Every fan looking forward to that game is just a pile of skulls and bones at this point.
That's true.
Jesus. Yeah,
You
that's
think
crazy.
we'll hear something? You think it's just going to quietly fall off the radar?
I don't know.
Yeah, I
That's
want to
wild.
see another For Honor expansion just so I can keep thinking like that's a game I should go back to at some point
That's
because I really
not
like
good.
that game. It's just I haven't had time.
Did
to
you
do
go
it.
back
like
on
that game
April
too.
1st?
Did I what?
Go back on April 1st for the rabbit stuff?
No, I was busy.
really wanted to go back to
But
it.
it's a game that I think about a lot.
Yeah.
And I think about, oh, that'd be fun to go back to, and then I just never do, which is no fault of the game. It's just, I try to stay current on games.
Sure.
I get it. There was a rumor, Kotaku had it buried in some other story of theirs. I forget which one. That just confirmed, like, hey, Watch Dogs 3, the setting is London. Yeah.
Offhand. I think it's the one where they tease
Getaway 3.
Assassin's Creed.
That's right, because there is embedded in Division 2, there's a hint that Assassin's Creed, which is releasing 2020, so that probably won't be at the show. They'll probably say that for next year, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
But that's going to be set in
Vikings.
the Vikings
Ooh.
territory. Back to sailing. That sounds super cool.
I think Prince Persia is dead, but I would still like to see a new Prince Persia.
I mean, he can
love that
rewind
series.
time, though.
That's true.
Yeah. What do you guys think about this? They're making another Avatar game. Do you think they're bringing James Cameron back on stage? Really?
I don't think
They announced
so.
that a while ago.
I think they could, but I think it'd be a waste of money.
Is now?
busy, right?
Because when's the first Avatar movie coming out? 2020?
Who knows?
Doesn't it change every day?
I think so.
The number of films he's making and when it's coming, I feel like is in constant
and now
flux.
Vin Diesel's in it. He's going to be just going solo
not?
for the 6th film. But this could be the year that they show that Avatar game.
Sure.
I mean, just to put it out there, I am excited to see a new Avatar film from James Cameron. I want to watch that movie.
Kyle,
I just-
can you name 2 characters from Avatar?
F that. I hate that argument so much.
It's
I think
such
that
a good
argument-
one. It's a
F
good
that.
one.
Okay, that's 2009.
I know, I'm just saying, like, always-
Okay, hey,
I
Moon.
watched the
Moon
movie.
was also 2009. Name 2 characters from Moon. Oh, so it's not a good movie. Okay.
No, it's-
Jesus, I hate that argument.
It's a good argument.
No, it's not. There's so many great
It's
movies
not
from
actually an
2009
argument.
that
It's
you
just
don't
showing
remember
that,
those
like,
details.
Sure, I saw Avatar. I can tell you anything about it. Like,
Sam Worthington.
okay.
Hey, yeah.
Sigourney Weaver's character.
All right.
Sigourney Weaver's character.
Unobtainium.
Yeah.
It's
Phantom
not.
Lancer.
It's not so much an argument just saying that like all these people are like, "Oh, Avatar's so cool." Like, they don't remember anything about it. They just remember it was cool then, which is fine.
It's a weird thing because the film is good. I like that movie. I've watched it within the last 2 years, and it is a good movie. James Cameron's a good
Solid
director.
8 out of 10.
But like for what it did, for its worldwide gross, it is like the highest grossing film of all time. It's weird that it hasn't had a larger impact on the pop culture of today. You know,
What would you want? It completely
I'm not
reshaped
saying-
3D movies.
I'm not saying there's anything I want from it. I'm just saying it's weird that that we don't have like Na'vi action figures and it's
Right.
like
Yeah.
I think a lot of
like
it
that.
is because it was tied to 3D so much that it. I think a lot of people got caught up in whether or not it was a good spectacle, and it was. But I think a lot of people's recollection of it, because it was sold as like here's a new visual, like a new level of visual effects. I think a lot of people, that was all they focused on. So it's hard for that movie in that
Right.
way to leave a lasting impact through its characters and things like that. But
Yeah.
I wasn't in love with it, but it was fine. When I watched it, I was
Yeah.
like that. I don't regret having watched that.
That's great.
But
look
High praise.
at the Pandora Land or whatever in Disneyland.
Yeah, I want to go to that.
Yeah, that's huge. That's a big cultural impact, is to have your own land in Disneyland.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point.
All right.
Yeah, you win.
Thank you.
You named 2 characters and you cited
No,
a
nobody could do
cultural
that.
impact.
That's why there's a huge.
Jake Sully and Tseng or whatever.
One of those
Sort of
is
real
made
though.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you find out which one. Khan from London says, hey, my question this week is about Microsoft's E3 press conference this year. Last year, their first party grew by 7 new studios, so I think it's pretty safe to say it'll continue to grow this year. What do you think are the most likely studio acquisitions that Xbox would announce this year at E3? Looking at the trends in the studios they have been buying, second parties and struggling indies, my predictions are IO Interactive, Relic Entertainment, and Playtonic.
Relic Entertainment.
Those are very good guesses.
Who's Relic? Can we go through?
Yeah,
IO is
Strategy Game
Hitman,
Company
right?
Heroes.
Yeah, so
Dawn of War.
Relic's now making Age of
Making
Empires
Age of Empires
4,
4.
Okay,
which is a
gotcha.
nice connection for them. But I don't know if they'd want to invest in another
Yeah, that's.
Real-time strategy.
Yeah.
And what was their third bet?
Playtonic, which is the
Oh, interesting. Okay.
ukulele folks, right?
Yeah. That's
I think
an
that's
interesting
a
bet.
solid bet.
Yeah. It would be weird that if they left Rare to form Playtonic and then got bought by Microsoft.
But then Microsoft could say, "Hey, you want a little banjo?
We got one.
Little
okay.
banjo?"
Okay.
IO, I think, is another very interesting bet.
Yeah.
I could absolutely see that happening.
Yeah.
Is Studio MDHR, are they owned by Microsoft?
no,
no, this is the Cuphead
This is
people
the
is what I'm
Cuphead
talking
people.
about.
No, I don't believe they are.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't put a lot of I wouldn't bet on that, but it also wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
I also wonder how much they're gonna. Do you guys think they'll have anything that sort of hints to their relationship with Nintendo in terms of cross compatibility on
Oh
that
yeah.
stuff?
There'll be some
Yeah.
Miyamoto might be on Microsoft's stage.
Really?
I think.
Oh.
I mean, he was on Ubisoft's stage and he wasn't on Nintendo's Direct, which is bizarre.
Do
last
you
year.
guys think? Mark my words. Do you guys think
I'm marking them.
there's a chance Miyamoto shows up at the Google Stadia press conference?
No.
No.
There were very light rumors that they're more in bed together than you think,
Yeah.
based on like the Pokemon Go connection.
But that's
They have
Pokemon
some-
Company. Which
I know
is
it's
Miyamoto's
confusing, but at the
Yeah.
same time, there was an icon. I know people are reading too much into the icons, but I believe in the icons for the Google Stadia. Like
Hashtag Team
I believe
Icon.
in the
yeah, there was like a hint of Mario. Like if they just put Super Mario Odyssey on that Stadia. Also in the Kotaku interview with Phil Harrison, he says that like we don't have every third party in the world on board. We don't have every partner lined up for Google Stadia, but he's like some of the partners that we have will shock and amaze you. Was his exact phrasing? It was
It
like,
would
nothing
shock.
would be more shocking than
It would be
Nintendo.
shocking. That would be the most shocking, I think.
And what would be the downside of letting Google Stadia run on a Nintendo Switch
Oh.
for Nintendo? Other than, I guess that Google would get that 30% cut.
Yeah.
You know
The
what I mean?
reverse, I was
That's
thinking
so
there are
weird.
downsides to putting Nintendo games on Stadia. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the reverse.
As long
I
as
don't know.
Nintendo gets some cut of
Yeah,
that.
properly compensated for that.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, people can play Gears 5 on their Switch. I don't think Nintendo cares, right? As long as. people
Oh,
can-
so the Microsoft streaming, you're
well,
saying?
yeah. Well, I guess Gears 5 is a bad example. I was just thinking of like a third-party game that normally wouldn't be on Switch, and you would never expect to be on Switch.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
would there be a problem with it?
I mean, they
being
had
there?
that whole.
don't
I mean,
think so.
Nintendo's not totally closed off to streaming in general, right? Assassin's Creed in Japan wasn't
And
it?
Resident Evil, too.
It was all streaming, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
Monster
So
Hunter World, I believe.
I
yeah.
can see that.
Yeah, it's all going to happen. E3 is just going to be a big melting pot where everything's streaming to everything. And, yeah.
There's just one big 2-3 hour press conference with
Yeah.
every company.
To answer Khan's question, though, I feel like I've been beating this drum for a while, but 4J, which is the Minecraft porting house, they also did the Perfect Dark port, they're still independent. and it's crazy. Like at some point, Microsoft has to buy those folks. And Ready at Dawn, I think, is another one that could go.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Oh, yep.
I appreciate that you've been asking literally every developer over the past 2
Yeah.
years if Microsoft has come to them to potentially buy them.
That's so fun. Yeah, because it was E3 last year, and I asked the Ori and the Will of the Wisp creative director, and his head just looked like a thermometer exploding. Like, like clearly they're barking up that tree. Let's see, Robbie from
a very hilarious location.
I was confused about this when I was like copying and pasting, but it just never quite sunk in as a full thought. Robbie from the moon, specifically the Sea of Tranquility, he writes in and says, "Hey, Benformer. Oh, weird. What? This generation of consoles has seen amazing advance in particle effects and really detailed pores on the faces of Peter Parker and the cast of Yakuza." Yeah, Peter Parker's pores were gross.
Peter Parker.
I don't know. Seriously, I'm really surprised we didn't see any in-game ads this gen for Bior. I don't know what that is. Well, last weekish, Bethesda released some in-engine footage of the forest.
the company that makes like cosmetics.
Oh,
like
I
face
wouldn't know.
peels and
I'm
stuff like
naturally
that.
beautiful.
There you go.
Just trying to help you out, man.
No, that's nice. Although I was watching a Queer Eye for the Straight Guy or whatever last night, and then it's like, oh, I should start using moisturizer on my face. That would probably save all this weird redness and stuff. It seems like a thing.
You should.
That show helps.
Do it up. Do it up.
Moisturizer, check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyways,
Hashtag moisturizer.
he says he was surprised to see that snippet of in-engine footage from Elder Scrolls 6. Did you guys see this? I completely missed this.
Was it the old woman that they had rendered, or
I guess
that
so.
they're putting in the game? I mean,
I assume that's what it is. I didn't watch that,
I didn't
though.
watch that. No. I just saw the headline. Yeah.
Anyways, I'm more of a gameplay over graphics guy, but I gotta admit, seeing that footage got me excited for the next generation of consoles. My question for you is this: what details will excite us this next generation that we haven't thought of in the art graphics department? Eerie eyes, fabulous fauna, gnarly nose hairs? We'd love to hear your thoughts.
I just want no more clipping anymore. Just nothing clipping through other things,
I
like
don't know if the next
clothing
generation
items.
can help that,
I don't know,
but-
but like it's still a problem. I still feel like
know.
your character wears something and it'll just like clip through their arm and it's always distracting and weird. So
Yeah.
clipping gone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's nail liquids and
Anti-clipping
clear
technology.
Yeah.
Characters can now pour stuff into their mouth instead of the camera cutting away.
Smart people say the words ray tracing a lot, and everyone just has to nod and say, "Oh, ray
That's like
tracing."
lighting
Ah,
and
ray
stuff,
tracing.
right?
Man, can't love a good tracing of that.
Because
Right.
it's important when light bounces around the room. Oh yeah.
I do think a lot of the tech innovations are going to be outside of like textures. I think because so many people, when the interviews that I've had, it feels like the thing they are always harping on is we're going to have better AI, we're going to have sort of increased fidelity of what we're able to render, not necessarily details. I think we're moving away from that slowly, just because there's diminishing returns on that every generation.
Spencer from St. Louis, Missouri says, "Hello, crew. Quick question. Do you think Borderlands 3 or any of the Borderlands will ever make it to the Switch? I feel that being able to loot and shoot on the go would be awesome."
Sure, why not?
It's weird that hasn't been ported, right? Because they ported Borderlands 2 to
Why not?
Vita. You think a Vita is less powerful than a Switch,
Make it
right?
happen.
I'm surprised that when they announced the Borderlands 1 re-release recently,
that it wasn't on
Switch.
Switch.
Wasn't one of the SKUs.
I know. I'm sure that's in development somewhere, although I think Iron Galaxy made the Vita version of Borderlands 2, so maybe they're busy or something, but they know the Switch at this point. You think they'd be able to tackle that? You got to help me out here, Serial. Riley from Issaquah, Washington says, not too long ago, Todd McFarlane posted something on Twitter about Spawn possibly being in the new Mortal Kombat game. Did you guys hear about any of that stuff while visiting the studio?
No, we didn't hear about Spawn, but
Yeah.
I saw that. That's a weird thing. I'm curious because they always do their guest characters as part of the DLC, but I wouldn't be surprised.
It seems likely. One of the biggest regrets of my life is not during the rapid fire question interview we posted with Ed Boon asking him about Kiefer Sutherland announcing that he was in Mortal Kombat. Remember?
Yeah.
This is like back in 2015 or whatever. He said he was going to be in Mortal Kombat X, and then I think Giant Bomb asked Ed Boon, and he's like, I honestly have no idea what Kiefer's talking about. But at some point, the name Mortal Kombat got to Kiefer Sutherland, and I want to know how that happened.
Do you think he mixed up the name Metal Gear Solid and Mortal Kombat?
No, because he just, I think
Metal
that-
Mortal.
The discussion was he was talking about like, oh, I'm working in these games now, like Metal Gear Solid 5 and Mortal Kombat X. I was like, what?
Weird.
And then just nothing ever came of it.
Yeah, he
Dude,
was-
I bet Big Boss was going to be in that game.
He was playing Jack Bauer for the.
Do you think
Kombat.
it was going to be Jack Bauer or Big Boss?
Probably what it was, wasn't it?
That said, Big Boss should be in Mortal Kombat 11. That would be
Yes,
so good.
Absolutely. Someone in a comment was like, oh, what if Link's in the Switch version? There's no way, right?
I mean,
No.
but they
What
could.
if? What if?
I could,
No, they would have
What
to
if?
let Link's head be cut
Well, we're
off.
talking about Miyamoto going to the Google conference. This is a
Yeah, it's game on,
Miyamoto's
man.
is doing whatever.
We've announced a partnership with Google Stadia and NetherRealm for whatever reason. I don't know.
Dare us to do something crazier. Come on!
Look, Watt is gone. He was the barrier.
Nick from Atlanta, friend of the show, says, he says, hey, what is the most iconic combat bark in gaming? I've been playing a lot of Division 2 lately, which has the very funny F the Division!
Yeah, I love that one.
That usually plays 5 seconds before I kill that enemy, but there are plenty others that are much more iconic. What does the Elite say in Halo, Kyle?
What? Something like that? I don't remember.
That sounds like I think that's like
Maybe-
Kyle's mom from South Park.
Oh, is that
What?
no, yeah. I if you played it for me, I could probably tell you it's Elite, but off the top of my head, I can't.
I
recall
won't do that. And of course, ready to roll out from StarCraft.
Yeah.
I would go StarCraft, but not ready to roll out. Which, God, that's the Siege tank. I would go the Marines, jacked up and good to go.
Objective and good is good. I was going to go with Warcraft 3's peons and peasants. Work. We're being attacked. Yep, all that
wow.
stuff. That was really good. Yeah.
That sounds a little bit like Sully from Uncharted as a Warcraft peon.
That was I was pretending to be Sully actually from Uncharted.
Perfect.
The black head crabs from Half-Life 2 had a good squeal, and the thing about those guys would attack you and they take you down to 1 health. So when you heard that sound, you would be on edge immediately.
Oh, that's great.
There is it's not iconic, but I remember in No More Heroes there was one of the most constant barks was every time you killed someone they would just yell my spleen.
Oh God, I hated in Space Marine. Every enemy you fought would go Space Marine, Space Marine, Space Marine. They just
They
kept
really gotta let you
screaming the
know.
name of the game over and over and over again. It's so dumb.
It worked. You
That's
remember
true.
it.
That's true. Otherwise, yeah, my favorite bark is probably Dan. Come here. Dan, who's the most famous dog in gaming? Do you think? I don't know. You don't know? Poochie.
I don't know.
Poochie? Sure. From Yoshi?
Yeah, I guess so.
My favorite bark in gaming is Poochie from Yoshi's Crafted World.
Okay.
The crowd goes wild.
We got it.
Yeah. Joseph D. from Kansas City, Missouri says, speaking of barks, with the release of the Ace Attorney trilogy on every platform this week, I wanted to dare you to do your best Ace Attorney style objection shout.
It's kind of higher pitched.
I've never played these games.
I
I
haven't
assume
either.
it goes something
I
like
haven't
this.
either.
Objection!
Oh my God, that's perfect.
Yeah, I think you already hit it.
Nailed it.
I think you
For
got it.
real? What if Sully had an objection?
Objection! Sorry for your ears.
That's fine. I have that on my Switch. I'm looking forward to playing it. I'm
I have
flying
not
today.
played a single one of those games ever. So you tell me. if
Those
I
are
should.
so good.
Yeah?
I think they are classic adventure games in the sense that you're probably better served just playing through them with a guide. Especially
What?
that
Oh,
first
no.
one.
Oh,
where-
no, no,
there,
no,
there
no.
are ways. There are ways in the first one where you can get completely screwed out of finishing the game. If you
Now
don't
I
have
don't
the-
even want to start those things. Are you
Why?
kidding me?
Just play the first trial.
Okay.
You can play. I think
The stories are really
that
good.
The first one specifically, I think you should play with a guide, and then the rest I think are fine. 2 and 3, I think, are completely solvable, but they're straight up a way in one that you
I
can
can
get.
just
through.
watch the anime.
Nah.
Objection.
Hey, there we go, Dantech. Joseph D. also says, hey, on the subject of Ace Attorney, it's still a point of frustration for me that the U.S. never got a localized release of Ace Attorney Investigations 2 and the Great Ace Attorney series, which takes place in 19th century Japan with Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
What?
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
that sounds great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's fun.
those are games that I wish I could play. But,
Yeah.
oh well.
Hey, objection. I want to play that.
Yeah, and I don't think either of those games are in the recent collection, right? It's
I don't
just
think
1
so.
through
I think
3.
it's a trilogy, yeah.
Because I think Apollo Justice is one of the best ones for sure.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, but I would like to see a re-release of that game. But
Yeah?
they're all pretty good.
All right. Devin from Lumberton, Texas says, throughout the years, there have been many tech demos showing off the power of developers' engine, and some of those eventually become games, like Kara turning into Detroit Become Human. My question is, of all the tech demos you've seen throughout the years, which one do you wish became a full game but never did? For me, it was Agni's Philosophy from Square Enix. I'm still holding on to the hope that it'll eventually become a full-fledged Final Fantasy game.
Huh.
That was
Miller
cool.
was arguing aggressively that this is Final Fantasy 15
Yeah.
when that Agni's Philosophy tech demo was shown, and I said, no, you're wrong, Miller, and I feel very justified.
Maybe it
That's
was,
the one
though.
time I've got the
Maybe it
upper
was.
hand.
You never know.
I mean, Versus 13 turned into 15,
Yeah.
so maybe that was 15, and then they.
I bet that's not 16, though.
Yeah. No, I don't think it's. I think 16.
No, it's-
The potential of 16 is something completely different. But that tech demo is very cool and exciting.
Yeah, I haven't gone
and
back and watched
interesting.
it. Hey, Take another look at that.
There it is. See, there it is.
Let's see. There's the Dark Sorcerer thing from Quantic Dream, which of course, so what are you idiots doing? I would like to see what that game would be. Like the weird fantasy stuff, but they're all actors. That seems fun.
Yeah. There's that Rubber Duck demo from the PS2 reveal.
Yeah, where's my Rubber Duck game?
That became a game on PS3.
No, it didn't.
What are you talking
It
about?
was like a puzzle game with rubber ducks. It was a
Shut
launch title
up.
for PS3.
Launch title.
Really?
A PSN?
Yeah.
What?
It's called.
Ah, you've
it's
been holding this information from me?
Ducks.
It's not great. It used the 6-axis to like you could steer the ducks through the water and stuff like
That
that.
sounds amazing. I love
That's
ducks.
fun.
Wait to really build me up and then knock me down over the course of a
Yeah.
minute.
James from Dublin, Ireland says, hey, he has a long email, but the core of it is, our Respawn / Old Infinity Ward / Vince Impella's crew, low-key the most consistently brilliant team in game development. Top 5, he says.
They're up
They're
there.
really good.
They are very, very good. And like specifically the director of like Titanfall 2, Steve Fukuda, I've interviewed him several times, and it's very tough because clearly he's a genius. I think he also directed the campaign in Modern Warfare 1. But it's like every interview, it's like I haven't quite felt like I cracked it. It's so tough when someone is cranking out such consistently great work, and then every interview is just kind of like, I don't know, that's fine. It's just, I just want to be informed about how they pull that stuff off.
Yeah.
Maybe we could try and get him on the show at some point.
It's a good idea.
I don't know what he's doing now. If he's working on Apex or what. Or maybe he's working on that weird VR thing.
Uh-oh.
Remember? Or the weird
VR.
mysterious Titanfall project that everyone assumes is their VR project.
Is he
and no
not
one
working
really
on
knows.
the Star Wars game?
No, because that's the Stig, the director of God of War 3.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it's confusing. But yes, probably underrated. You're right.
I don't know. If they're I mean, we just said a lot of nice things about them. We always say, I mean, I don't know if they're underrated.
Yeah, but I
Do you think they're top 5 most talented developer in the industry?
Do you think so?
the consistency
Top
is
5
like
is tough, right?
is a
Like-
key word because everything they've done is very good, even if it wasn't a huge hit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think a lot of the low key stuff is because a lot of their biggest accomplishments are sort of dwarfed by a lot of other like, larger studios, and I think there's always just this feeling of it's all under the Activision umbrella, so it's kind of like how much is it their efforts on the game versus like
Just like back in the day, and like this
Yeah,
is
like,
true for
'cause
EA
they-
now, or
maybe I don't know.
okay,
I retract that.
that's fine.
It's been retracted.
Officially noted. Virgil from Las Vegas.
Okay.
What's Los Angeles? That's like the Angels, right?
Those are two different places.
Yeah, but what is
cool.
Las Vegas? What does that translate to? Other than lost wages.
Ooh, I like it. We got one. Mark that one
Nice.
down.
We got a live one here. Anyways, greetings. With Fortnite adding a way to respawn teammates similar to Apex Legends. Did you guys see that? What do
Yeah,
you
the
think about
van.
that? Yeah, what do you think about that nonsense?
I think that battle royales have been borrowing and from each other since the dawn of their popularity.
Does it annoy
boom.
you at all? Or is it just like, well, I guess Epic's just going to rip off everything. That's fine.
I mean, everybody's ripped off each other to make the best game, right? As long as it makes the game
So it
better.
doesn't
who
bother
cares?
you
No.
that they took the respawn thing. Okay.
Does it? Wait, does it bother you? Let's get into this.
It's weird to cite it specifically to Apex Legends. It's like a common video game thing, right? I mean,
it's
I
a
know, but in a
respawn.
battle royale, having like that respawn thing, we need to get the ticket and all that stuff. Like Apex Legends, as far as I know, was the first to really push that out
Sure.
there. Yeah, it's a little gross to me, but I guess it's a better
Why?
system. So yeah, I think so.
Good things being added to good games is gross to you?
Doesn't it weird you out a little bit? Just the impact of Fortnite into the industry and just how much it was just like PUBG. Let's just do it. Slap it together.
These are living games that are learning from each other in real time.
Learning /
I mean, it
ripping
will,
off.
it will
like-
always bum me out that PUBG has kind of been lost in the wave of Fortnite to me. Like, I
PUBG
feel
is still
like,
huge.
It's
yeah,
still
but
huge.
like most kids who play Fortnite don't know the history of it or realize that it can't. Battle Royale was like it was a mode that they recognized as being very popular and very smartly and brilliantly put together and integrated into a game that, for most intents and purposes, like wasn't doing as well as they wanted to do.
No,
I
of course
don't
not.
think.
So here's the question: do those kids who are learning about Fortnite, do they have to know the history of it to enjoy it? Like, is this some kind of
not to enjoy it, but I think it's nice to have that perspective.
Yeah, like I think like I would just like them to know the history of their favorite game. You know?
and
I mean,
write a thank you letter to Brendan Green. Is it too much to ask?
it might be a little bit much.
Anyways, he says, hopefully better gameplay can emerge from both games trying to one-up each other. My question is, which game series or genre do you feel like could use some healthy competition? My answer is his answer. He says, for example, I feel like the Sims games have been their own thing for a while and would like to see how someone else would go about making a Sims kind of game. Yeah, it is crazy. Like, the City Skylines team should just make a Sims game. They could knock it out of the effing part.
Yeah.
So like, yeah.
So this is weird.
A
Pick
genre
something
that
has more.
needs competition.
Yeah.
Like a genre you like that needs a boost.
I would have said Bethesda's mold of RPGs, but now I think Outer Worlds is kind of
Yeah, everybody's sort of
biting
doing
into
like,
that.
yeah.
Not everybody.
Not
Still,
everybody,
for
but-
how successful those games
But
are,
the
not
open
many
world
people go for it.
RPG is like, that's a.
But like more of a systemic approach. and,
Okay.
You know, the Elder Scrolls style.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have a great answer for that.
I don't know if it's a genre, but I'd like to see more games that are similar to Persona. I know there are probably games that are similar. I think maybe Trails of Cold Steel, I think, is somewhat similar, but
Yeah.
it feels like not a lot of them nail the way Persona progresses on a calendar and is about having this mix of otherworldly elements and going to school. But I would want a game like that more frequently than every 5 years.
Right.
So I would like to see them get some competition.
I want more competition and development in the dungeon crawler space. We get our bread and butter traditional dungeon crawlers all the time. They throw us a bone, like we got Labyrinth of Refrain last year.
What a bone.
And it's a great dungeon crawler. But I want there to be some more advancements. And
Have you looked at
competition there.
Operencia, that game Jeff was playing?
I will take a look at it. I wasn't,
Okay.
I wasn't blown away by what I saw, but I barely looked at it.
Sure. Yeah.
A quick one, which isn't really a genre, but like, I'm still surprised this day that there isn't more stuff like Dragon Quest Builders to sort of compete with Minecraft. Like, I would like to see more games sort of take that idea of like being in a world and building things and stuff like that and integrate it into like an action game like Dragon Quest did.
Yeah. Acceptable. Acceptable answer.
You know what else? You know what else
Thank you
I
for taking
want?
my.
What's that?
I want more competition in the idler space. I think there's a frontier there that has not been breached, and I think it's going to be huge.
Sadness French. I think
right.
it's going to be huge.
Okay.
Dan, sometimes I think your whole life's an idle game.
Well, I don't know. I'm sort of active here. I'm pushing buttons.
That's true. Chris Reardon from New Bedford, Massachusetts says, hello. As we inch towards the end of the console generation, I think there is still an endless supply of games coming out and already released that I want to play. I generally think I could be playing PS4 games for the rest of my life and be just fine. Thinking about consoles that came out in my lifetime, I think the NES is the only one for which I've already played everything I'd ever be interested in. Not that it isn't still fun to pop in Mario 3 or Ninja Gaiden every now and then. Ninja Gaiden 3. Anyways, just that any game I'd ever be interested in playing in NES, I've played at length. Does anyone on the panel have a console they feel like they've completed in this way?
No.
But not playing every game.
I
It's
know,
like everything
but
you'd be
you played
interested
everything
in.
you wanted to play ever.
I mean, right when I got to Game Informer, I played a lot of PS1 games I always wanted to check out, like Rascal, that lovable Rascal.
That amazing game.
I feel like there are a few PS1 games I've wanted to play that I haven't at this point.
I guess if we're looking at it that way, maybe Super Nintendo and Nintendo are both pretty much done for me.
Have you ever played Solstice?
Yeah,
NES?
I have. That is that's a game.
What about Balloon Fight?
I have not played Balloon Fight.
Is that true?
That is true.
One of the most fun games on NES.
I know I've got it on my what's it called? The NES thingamajiggy. The
The
mini.
NES Classic, yeah.
How much have you
Yeah.
played that?
Barely any. It just sits there. I mean, all those games that I want to play in there, I'm like, well, you know what? I just played that. I've already played this. Why am I here?
Why'd you buy it?
I know, right?
Do you regret it?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not doing anything with it.
Can I have it?
It's sitting there.
Will you give it to me?
I wouldn't give it to you.
Okay. Do I have to go in your apartment?
Yeah.
Okay.
There you
great.
go.
I'd probably say maybe N64. I don't know that there's a lot of N64 back catalog. Besides wanting to replay Ocarina of Time every once in a while.
Okay. Space Station Silicon Valley.
I don't want to play that.
What about Rocket, the robot on wheels?
Yeah,
Sucker
from
Punch.
Sucker Punch.
You guys are very much changing my mind right now.
That actually is maybe my one N64 game that I want to go back because I love Sucker Punch so much, but I've never played that one.
Oh, you
Love
should do
it.
it. We did it as a replay a while back, I think.
Oh, yeah?
Let's see. Oh, hello. An Attack Corgi from Vancouver, British Columbia, friend of the show,
An Attack
on the big
Corgi.
board. He says, hi, Ben Handstand and the Twirlers. Sure, whatever. What is the most important problem facing the games industry you think people aren't talking about enough?
I think we talk about a lot of the problems at length. I think the problems
We've covered everything?
I don't know if we have, but those conversations are out there every day if you want to go look them up, right?
I guess. The one that popped to my mind immediately was hard drive space. I saw like a launch PS4, and that hard drive is getting absurd. I can have like 2.5 games on there, tops.
Okay.
And just trying to manage that and swap it around. And even like, my friends and I are still playing Blackout, Dan.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, but it's just like, hey, here's a 10 gig update for Black Ops 4. And then it's like, okay, like literally my friend was texting me that it wouldn't let him unpack and install the update that's 10 gigs, even though he had like 40 gigs free. It's like, you need to make more space. Like, there's nothing left. There's nothing left here. It's crazy.
It's kind of weird because, like, are we going to go to... If we are going to the all-streaming future, I guess you don't even need any hard drive space, right?
Yeah.
But if we're not, I think there's going to be a mid-range in there where we do have a heavy download era. So I think we're going to need a lot more base storage on consoles.
Yeah, what do you think next generation launches with?
What do we have? We have terabytes now? Are they coming?
Yeah.
Is that the biggest?
I don't know. Do Xbox One X's come with a terabyte?
Going to need at least
I think so.
terabyte.
I could see standard being 1 terabyte going forward.
Yeah. Still,
It
that's
still
going to
feels
fill up fast.
Yeah, that still feels a little.
insane.
It's weird because it doesn't feel like enough, but it also feels luxurious in a way. Wow, 1 terabyte. That still feels like a lot to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Corey from New Hampshire says, Dear Ben and crew, I read on Polygon that Capcom is releasing DLC for the new Resident Evil 2. This DLC unlocks basically everything in this game, including the hidden characters and unlimited ammo. What do you guys think?
Ooh.
Obviously, it's optional, and it is only $5, but it seems to me like it negates the reasons to play the game in the first place. Shout out to Dan Tack. Bring him back on and talk about Sekiro and the Guardian Ape fight, please.
I love the Guardian fight.
Yep.
I think it is the best fight in Sekiro. We'll talk about that more in the spoiled, but
Yeah.
I think it's my favorite fight in the
I
whole
wonder
game.
if that'll make a top 10 moment.
Yeah, it should. I'll
so.
fight for it for sure.
Yeah. All right. What do you guys think about this? Sorry, what do you think about this DLC for Resident
I
Evil 2?
think it's fine if you.
Really?
I would argue. Okay, so I think that for a lot of people, unlocking everything is the goal that they're going for.
Yeah.
But I think some people just want to mess around and enjoy it. So if they don't want to do whatever the requirements are for unlocking infinite ammo, people enjoy games in different ways. So if you want, if you're the type of person who wants to just say, hey, I don't. The part where I'm, constantly restricted on ammo isn't fun for me. I just want to see that. I just want to, play through this game. Just having unlimited ammo is fine. I think it's, you can say it's maybe a little exploitive to put that behind a paywall, but
I want to know how many people buy it, though.
That'd be interesting to see. But
For $5, I bet they sell a lot of them.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's anything wrong with it because not everyone. I think the people for whom unlocking that stuff manually is the drive. I don't think a lot of those people are going to just say, well, I guess since there's this option to buy it, I'll just do that instead of work for it. I think those
Right.
people can still work for it without, impeding on the people who just want to have all the stuff from the get-go.
Yeah. Here we go. Luke Chambers writes in. He says he really wants From Software to make a Lord of the Rings game. I'm sorry, a major story based on Turin Turambar from the Silmarillion. Which reminded me, there was that rumor that
There was Game
George
of
R. R.
Thrones.
Martin.
Game of Thrones was the rumor.
Yeah. What do you think about
I
that?
think it's a rumor. I think it's full of
What is this rumor?
bullschlacka.
Ooh, that George R. R. Martin beat Sekiro.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, he's doing that instead of writing.
No wonder the book's never coming out.
Go. I was just listening to it. I've taken such a gross deep dive just on George R. R. Martin interviews. Like my YouTube, algorithm feed is just nothing but like panel clips from George R. R. Martin at this point. And I just listened to one this morning about him talking about video games, and he's like, I don't think they're art. No one crawls up his butt like they did Roger Ebert. But he says he's really interested in VR. And like thinking about if there's any truth to that rumor, I bet they're pulling on like the Durasane
But that's such a
PSVR
weird-
connection.
Like if you're gonna make a Game of Thrones VR game, why from?
You don't know that it's Game of Thrones. He probably wants to get away from that nonsense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Find other ways to not finish those books.
Yeah, exactly. It's got to do something.
Sure.
Francisco Rojas from Santiago, Chile says, I wondered in what perspective do you guys dream? And in what other ways have video games affected your subconscious? Oh, just
Ooh.
gross ways,
Wow.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I've written a whole feature about this. I interviewed dream
did?
scientists and stuff. So yeah, go look that up. But yeah, the Tetris effect, that kind of thing. Dreams have absolutely invaded my. Video games have absolutely invaded my dreams.
Just
like,
wait until the video
all
game
time.
Dreams invades your dreams.
Yeah.
That's scary. What if we're actually just a dream?
No, that's probably true
Do you
of
guys ever-
the listener right now.
Right.
I've been like stuck on puzzles and dreamed solutions. Then went and tried them the next morning. They absolutely didn't work because my dream logic is just like does not make any sense at all. But yeah. I think games are better at invading your subconscious mind than like other forms of entertainment media.
Yeah. I remember, I guess I dream in first person. I assume everybody does. What kind of freaky
I don't think
stuff
I've
is
ever
it?
dreamed in the first person.
But I remember reading someplace that like, technically you only dream in black and white. Just something that a scientist can say, and I guess no one can argue with it.
Wait, what?
But that's what I heard one time. But I was like, well, wait, no, because I remember having a dream where like throughout the entire dream there was the yellow StarCraft font like below me, like on the screen, so to speak. You know what I mean? It's like-
Chiron?
I don't know. It was just like hovering there, just like the yellow StarCraft font. And so I remember thinking like, well, that scientist is full of it.
I heard something crazy like along those lines where people didn't dream in color until color TV came out or something like that. It was something really bizarre. I don't know if we can look that up. Like it's something completely
That
crazy
sounds
like
weird,
that.
'cause
I know.
They perceive the world around them in color. It's not like
I know. I
color
know.
TV invented
I thought it was
color.
insane too.
Did you guys, when you were a dumb kid, I used to think that, like, you know, thinking about the Titanic or something, I assumed that reality was black and white.
Excuse me?
No, I never.
I probably thought that at some point.
You
Yeah.
assume that reality, which you could see.
Right,
Like
but
in
like
the
in the
past.
olden times, I thought everything was black and
assume-
white.
Wow, that is weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was probably like
you were
5
okay,
or
if you're
something.
5, it's cool.
Yeah.
6 though.
Right out.
Once you get to 7 or 8, then it's like, well, I don't know.
Matt from Crawfordsville, Indiana says, "Hey, crew, you mentioned on the last episode you want us to send in more games. And as luck would have it, I was already working on one.
Uh-oh.
This is very good.
Is it?
Yes. I was recently looking through the library of games on the Game Boy Advance.
Oh, God.
And I was surprised by the wide variety of titles on the system. So the challenge is simple. You will have to guess whether each game or franchise made an appearance on the Game Boy Advance.
All right.
Yes or no?
Yep.
Ready? 007.
Yes.
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 Can anybody name what
Nightfire.
it is? Yeah, Nightfire and Everything or Nothing, apparently. Ace Combat.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep, correct. B-movie game.
Yeah.
No.
Nope.
Not based on the Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah, I
movie?
assume it's based on that.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Happy Feet.
No.
Yeah.
Call of Duty.
Yeah.
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 No.
Really?
No.
No to
DS,
Call of
though.
Duty.
DS wasn't
Yep,
Call
as a
of Duty.
DS. That was
Yeah.
Modern Warfare, which we tried doing for a replay once, and I don't think anybody liked it. Burnout. Is there ever Burnout GTA
No.
game?
Oh gosh, I
No.
think it did.
No.
Nope. Kyle's wrong, and
Okay.
he should be embarrassed.
Yeah, all right.
Driver.
Yeah.
No.
Driver 3.
Yep. Driver 2 Advance and Drive 3.
Drive 3R.
Yeah.
Which
Two?
people actually requested it that way when they came to the store to buy it.
Oh God. Elder Scrolls.
No.
Nope. But Elder Scrolls Shadow Key was on the N-Gage, so close. Dynasty Warriors.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. Correct. Grand Theft Auto.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. What was that one? It was GTA 2?
I think it's original.
GTA Advance.
They called it.
It was called GTA Advance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh, yeah, I don't remember.
Let's see. Transformers.
No.
Yeah. Why not? Of course.
Nope. No Transformers game on the GBA. Yep. Jet Set Radio.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Peter Jackson's
Yes.
King Kong, the official game of the movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
We did it on replay. M&M's.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
Here's a kicker. Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
Yes.
No.
Oh, I think so.
Yes, it did.
Yeah. All right.
Resident Evil.
Yes.
For Game Boy Advance.
Yep.
Oh no.
I don't
Wait.
think
no.
so.
Yes.
There was a
No.
Game Boy Color game, but no, I
Yeah.
don't think there was a Game
That's
Boy
the one
Advance.
that I
game.
was
Correct.
thinking.
No
Yeah.
Game Boy Advance.
Oh, come
Resident
on.
Evil game. Max Payne.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Medal of Honor.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. Infiltrator and Underground.
I don't know what that is.
I don't either, so
That,
no.
That's the names of the Medal of
Oh.
Honor.
Yeah.
Oh,
Metal Gear.
Yes. no.
That was Game Boy Color.
Correct.
Yep.
Good call. Tekken.
Yes.
Why not?
Correct.
Why not?
The Tekken Advance. was
Got
the
it on
game.
everything.
Oh, okay.
There's also a Mortal Kombat Advance.
Need for Speed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Underground. Oddworld.
Yes.
No.
I can
No.
see something in
No.
my head of a Game Boy Advance.
What do you
game.
see, Kyle?
Forget it.
Look into the future. What do you
It's
see?
definitely a Game Boy game. I know that for sure.
Game Boy Advance? Yes. Munch's Odyssey came to the Game Boy Advance. Star Fox.
No.
No.
Correct. You guys are good. SimCity.
no.
Yes.
probably.
Yeah, SimCity's on everything, ever.
SimCity 2000. Game Boy Advance game.
SimCity.
SSX.
I
No.
believe so.
Yes. SSX 3 and Tricky. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six.
I was like,
Yes.
I think so.
Yes, it did. Rogue Spear. Toy Story.
yeah.
No.
No. No
What?
Toy Story
What
GBA
the
game. Tomb Raider.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Tomb Raider Legend. Turok.
Yes.
Oh,
No.
Evolution?
No.
Kyle Hilliard, Turok Evolution. Absolutely.
Jeez, didn't
I spent a lot of
GBA.
time
Apparently.
staring at these, so.
That's absurd.
That's
Very
good stuff.
impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
You missed a Banjo-Kazooie.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
like my favorite weird thing is there is a Banjo pilot game for Game Boy Advance, and it was
Right.
when Microsoft owned Rare and they owned
So
the
weird.
Banjo
Yeah.
license.
Well, yeah, they released like Age of Empires and Age of Mythology games on the DS and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Microsoft in that handheld Nintendo era is so bizarre. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What do you guys like for email of the week?
That one.
Yeah, it's really tough to.
I like
say
that
no to
Ubisoft question.
I like the
Ubisoft is
Ubisoft
good.
one too. I
Yeah,
also
that one
like.
wasn't bad.
I like the what games need more competition because I think it spawned an interesting conversation. Ubisoft or GBA?
Oh, I don't know. I think the G.
Let's-
Come on,
let's
let's
do
give it to the
GBA.
GBA. Come on.
Yeah, that is a lot of work. All right, congratulations. That's Matt from Crawfordsville, Indiana, God's
Okay.
country, just the
Crawford-
finest.
Is it
Congratulations,
all, is it all
Matt.
God's country?
Well, there's a lot of territory up there. By the way, the yellow up there, if you can't tell on the big board, the yellow is where they've doubled up. So Houston and Vancouver are doubled up.
Interesting.
Wait, isn't the yellow one the one that won the last
I changed
year?
it around. Good eye. So I changed that to white. It's a very specific
Okay.
system that we have
All
going
right.
on here. Don't question it.
Ketchup, mustard, and mayonnaise.
For now, do you guys want to learn a lot about the development of Oddworld and specifically the bizarre development of Soulstorm from Lorne Lanning himself?
Sure.
Did you ask him about the GBA version?
Let's find out. Here's the interview. No, I did not. Lorne Lanning and Bennie Terry, welcome to the Game Informer Show, folks.
Thanks for having us, man.
In studio.
In studio.
You sound amazing.
Really?
Yeah, all our listeners really appreciate it. There's no Skype to deal with. It's perfect.
And on a beautiful day, you can't see outside, but it's pretty gorgeous.
Yeah, you guys picked the perfect day to visit Minnesota. Thanks for coming to our office. This is so great for
Are
you
you
guys to
kidding?
swing by and show Soulstorm.
Oh, it's great.
Anything we can do to get exposure, we are total whores.
Have you ever been to this office before?
You know, I did, but I think it was like in 96 or 7.
What? Really? You remember
No,
that?
I'm not sure it was this building.
Yeah, I don't think it would
It
have
was
been.
a different
But
location.
but
at
it
that time.
still felt like an old factory and stuff. I think
Yeah.
it was before the release of Abe's Odyssey.
Really? It's like a preview for
And I
Abe's
think
Odyssey.
that's when I first met Andy. Yeah.
That's insane. What do you remember from back then? Do you remember anything about visiting
Hardly.
the office?
You know, that was before marijuana went legal, right? That was a long time ago, man. Many brain cells ago. But well, the whole time it was at that time I was just getting familiarized with the gaming press. Right?
Yeah.
And previous to that, you know, we were in the film business, so it was a different nature of press.
Yeah. What did you notice were like the biggest differences then?
Well, the biggest, like, in film, everyone went to, like, Ivy League schools and studied journalism, you know, and in gaming, everyone was like, I was a tester. You know?
Yeah, Andy's like, I just like Nintendo games.
Exactly. So it was interesting because there were certain things like off the record wasn't necessarily understood by everyone at the time. And you're like, dude, I said it off the record. You know, no, you guys. Yeah, so I was like, why'd you say that? He goes, well, I thought what you meant off the record was, and I was like, no, man, in journalism terms. You know? He goes, I don't know journalism terms. I fucking went to art school. I was like, shit. So, so there was those kinds of things. But more interesting was that game journalism is game players. Right? Like they are the audience. So, and film journalism is more like film critics, right? Now,
A little snobbier, is that implying?
yeah,
or-
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
a little more know-it-all, you know.
Yeah.
And so it's just interesting to see the excitement and the angles that the game journalists would bring, you know, and usually it was because they were writing reviews. That's usually how they got the job, right? Like, well, I was just writing reviews on my blog, and then someone yeah, and then, you know, Game Informer saw my blog and said, hey, do you want a job? Or, you know, there's a lot of that has happened, right? So it's really interesting to me when an industry develops truly organic like that. Like we didn't have, you know, maybe had Dean Takahashi and a few other people that were real, you know, went to journalism schools, worked for San Jose Mercury News or something like that, became game specialists. There's a few. But the majority was fans.
Yeah.
You know,
wild.
so it was interesting.
Bennie Terry, how long have you been in the industry?
About 20-ish years.
Good God.
Or so.
Working together
does
the
it
entire
tell?
time,
Yeah.
or?
Not the entire time, but we crossed paths, you know, early in my career when he was at Rhythm and Hughes and had just left, and I had started doing work at Rhythm and Hughes around maybe a few years after they had left to start Oddworld. And the first kind of foray into knowing more about Oddworld was everyone talked about Lorne and Sherry there as how they were making video games, and R&H wanted to figure out how to do something similar at the time.
So then when did you guys start working
It was
together?
a film company. you know.
Right.
So then,
Oh man,
that's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
And then we started. The first time I encountered Bennie was with
At Liquid.
Liquid.
Yeah, Liquid.
And I was in between some stuff, and the person who was running Liquid was Holly Newman. And Holly, we had a lot of history with Holly because she went back to GT Interactive, and she actually marketed the first Abe game.
Okay.
And we really loved Holly. You know, and Holly's a great personality and really capable person. And so she was running a company called Liquid. She was CEO, and they they had a project, and she was like, Lorne, can you come down and maybe consult on some stuff? You don't seem like you're doing anything at the minute. I was like, well, kind of trying, but you're kind of right, too. So we did, and in going down there, part of it was assessing the team capabilities, where the project was. She wanted a little help. And then Bennie was like the shining, like what would you call it? It's like the North Star of
wow,
logic,
really, really honored today.
Don't worry, it's all downhill from here.
I'll buy you lunch.
Yeah, but it was like, when you're in this type of craft, there are so many moving parts, right? Like, we used to make movies. We used to make television commercials. They have moving parts. A different type that have to arrive on a set on a certain day with a whole lot of different pressure around it, but not nearly as many moving parts, man, as games.
Right. And so as a producer, this is your specialty, just making sure things are moving in line.
Absolutely. Well, I'd say my specialty goes back to I spent, years being a technical director, technical pipeline, TD, shader work, so all in the trenches, like building the products. But in the evolution of that, I grew from like being just a guy, right, to running a team, then the team for the studio, et cetera, all the way up. But that was always managing all of those pieces and figuring out how to do more with less, right? How to be scrappy, how to figure out, and I think that's kind of where we resonated well, was when I was at Liquid. At one point I decided, I'm going to move on and do something different. And he had told me around the time he left, he said, look, if you ever need a recommendation, just let me know, and I'd love to write one for you. And so I thought that was the time for me to call in that card. And he's like, nah, why don't you just run my studio, right?
So then what was the first Oddworld game you worked on then?
No, that was actually a different company.
That was a different company.
Oh,
so So we shut down Oddworld in 2005. This was sort of a period that was really heavy for mid-tier independent developers.
Right.
And, we had our ups and downs, and we had finally gotten back the IP entirely, and we could see where things were going. We said, let's take a break and let's hold on to the IP and let's wait for digital distribution. Yeah. The publishers, man, right? And
so it's like the Citizen Siege era, like you're trying to build that whole thing up?
Okay. Thanks for remembering that. Yeah. And so we started another venture. It was called XMob. And in this, the film Citizen Siege. So what happened there was 2008 financial crisis. Now, we had a movie deal for Citizen Siege. Now, this was a property that EA greenlit for one of their 3 new IPs for PS3.
That's rare.
They greenlit.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And when my partner and I, who had just worked with EA for a year, walked out of the building after that deal was agreed to but not signed, she goes, I feel sick. And I said, so do I. Let's just shut it down. I don't want to do this. So we walked away from a $25+ million deal on the title alone, let alone for the acquisition that they wanted for the company. But I'm not here to do the spilt milk, right? But that spilt milk, it, man. We threw that whole bucket all over the room, right? Here, take it back. Look, it's yours. So no love lost. But so we went off and we took that IP. We said, screw it. Let's go to Hollywood.
Yeah.
And we were already represented by CAA. Let's go to Hollywood and let's try and make it into a movie. And then we got a movie deal, but it was a rated R. It was an intense IP. And, it was slightly near a dystopian future. It was really heavy shit going on. And so it was rated R. Animated rated R. So 2008 happens. We do the deal in about 2007. 2008 happens. And the writing's on the wall. Just that, what's the chances, even if we keep on working and we keep doing, what's the chances that this is actually going to deliver, that the studios are going to take such a risk, that the theaters are going to take the risk in this climate? And so, that withered on the vine. We still have it, but we didn't do it. And then we started this other company, and we said, well, if we're really smart, why don't we do something really smart and make a lot of money, you know? And so we thought, well, we built a mass virtual viewing platform that was kind of like a jukebox that everyone could be playing. Like if you were a YouTuber, you could just create your own channel, but then you could have 50 people there. This was before Twitch.
Okay.
Right? And you could have 50 people there, and we would be simulating all of the likes or dislikes or conversations so that you'd hear a crowd and you'd see avatars as a presence as someone else is showing their videos.
That's fun.
And then we were allowing YouTubers to charge to have their people be there with them at certain times. Like, it was a really interesting venture to the point where it was VC backed. It had a lot of possibilities, and that's where I was like, Benny, come in here.
Come help us out.
I think I know enough about you to need you now.
Airdrop in.
Yeah, we got it. So you're managing the pieces. This is your specialty. So what's it like working on Soulstorm then? How many pieces are you trying to fit together here?
Pieces, time zones, continents, a ton. I mean, we have teams that are distributed in Canada, in the UK, in Australia, right? And then we're growing and scaling the production. So there's just more time zones and the physics of all of that to manage.
Is it several different studios you guys are working with?
Yes.
then?
So our new model was to do it more like film. Right, and we saw, wow, look at this. The engine technology is getting more familiar. There's more people in the world that know how to use Unreal and some other engines. Unity was looking promising. It was early. It took a while for Unity to really look promising, but you were starting to have this sort of democratization of game development where. Like visual effects, if you went to work for Pixar, you were basically spending 3 to 6 months to learn how to use the tools before you were productive at all. The same with Rhythm and Hughes, custom renderers, custom modelers, custom compositors. Everyone did everything different, no standardization.
Right.
Royal pain in the ass, kind of like the game industry.
Yeah.
And so film had done this, and then you started having outsourcing. You started having service companies, 2 visual effects companies. But before that, a visual effects company usually did it all itself because it had to, because everything was so hybrid. But the world was changing. And so in that, we said, look, what's one of the biggest things that happens to a developer in the business that people don't really talk about? Your overhead is leveraged against you on every deal. Unless you're really the shit, man. You got to be like the sparkling turd, right? Like you need to be like the bomb.
Yeah.
And then they're like, we'll give them whatever, right? But, and that happens occasionally, and, good for those people that have done that. I've never quite been exactly in that seat. I've had happy people, but not that happy people.
You've been shiny from time to time.
A couple of shines.
You're a turd every once in a while, we promise.
Like in The Shining. Yeah. But, so what happens in the game business, this is just capitalism, right? Is if you're doing a deal and they know you're burning $1 million a month and they know you're getting closer and closer and closer, they're going to try and draw it out as long as possible so that you need the money more and more and more because you're going to be spending your own money you have in a bank. Now, if you have a burn rate of $1 million a month like we had, and that's feeding about 80 people, today it'd be a little more expensive. If you're burning $1 million a month, they just need to hold you up 2 months. That's $2 million that you've pissed out, just keeping people alive, still trying to get them to be productive on the next deal. Well, I won't name names. Various publishers understand that very well, the same way a bank does, the same way an insurance company does, the same way a Hollywood studio does. And they're going to take advantage of that all the way. So we said, how do we get out of that model where we're not a big thing, where we're a small thing, more like how films get made, not big studio films, but like independent films. So what happens? You got a core team, a director, a producer, a writer is usually right at the helm, and then they're going to see if they can get a budget. And if they can get the budget, then they'll bring in contractors to fill out the team. And then when the job's over, it's over.
Yeah.
Right? And then if you have the means to roll right into another and you want to keep those relationships going, great. And if you don't, you're not committed to it. And with the relationships we like, we try to keep them rolling. But in that model, that's how we're doing it now. So we scale. We're never at one solid state of personnel. We scale up and down and in and out depending on where we need it, and we find groups around the world. This is one of the wonderful things that I think happened because of self-publishing, right? Is that with self-publishing, more guys that were fed up with working with the big publishers said, we have a chance to make something small And if we can go make that, I'm thinking of the game. What's that little puzzle game where you're walking upside down?
Monument Valley?
Yes.
Okay.
That was a great example.
Yeah.
Right? Sorry for my lame memory on this. But that was a great example. Those guys had experience, but they chose to just go for it because they could self-publish it.
Right.
And as a result, they had tremendous success. More success than they ever had working with publishers. Right? And that possibility became happening. And it started with Steam. And then Sony in the last few years that really ramped up. And then Sony allowed it, and then Microsoft got forced into allowing it.
Yeah. It seems like weren't you guys co-developing it with, was it Frema? Isn't that the development studio back in the day?
Yeah.
Okay.
They were one of the studios involved. Yeah.
Okay. Are they still involved? Or?
They're not on the team anymore.
Okay.
No.
It just shifted around.
Yeah, it just shifted around things.
And I think last time we talked, which you were on this podcast like 3 years ago talking about it, I think you guys were talking about like, hey, we kind of want to do like half the development in-house. Is that still the case?
So, and what is in-house?
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So what we decided was going to one studio to try and do it all is a mistake. Not managing all the data yourself in the cloud is a mistake. And when you hand over too much, I mean, it's really more of a publisher's problem in this model, right? Like they give all the job to a studio, and now they got to police the studio and make sure it gets done unless it's an exceptional studio. But at the end of the day, that studio kind of has the lock on the project. And that's not necessarily the wisest way, and not like we encountered baggage or train wrecks, but it just became clear, some would phase on, some would phase off, and we figured out the details, Bennie in particular, of how to make that transitions more smooth for groups coming on, groups coming off. And that meant you really had to have cloud set up really smart. All your development tools, all your tracking tools, all your communication tools had to be capable, multi-device, anywhere on the fly. I can direct most of the job on the iPhone today, no matter what part of the country I'm working with.
Do you feel like, Benny, this is a good route for the future? For
Absolutely.
future games you guys work on? Is just to keep this dynamic rolling system?
Yeah, and I think it's a good hedge for all of the risks that's associated with building games, right? Where if you just had one studio that was doing all aspects of production, you might run into a problem. Like they may find a more lucrative gig and just decide, hey, guess what? We're moving on to the next whatever and leave your project behind, and now you're stuck in a lurch. But by having it so distributed and out there, in order to be able to work with teams of engineers in Australia, or to have creatives in the UK and then distribute all through the US, it's a challenge in figuring out when to sleep, right? It's a challenge on that level, because I'm up, a day in my life is, generally 6 a.m. in the morning-ish. I start my process, right? Getting online with the guys in the UK, that rolls through the day. Then we have our dailies process at around 10:30ish, and that's at HQ in Emeryville. And then after that, as our day winds to a sunset, then we pick up on the Australian team, right? And then we follow through the night in with them. So it's kind of chasing the sun in a 24-hour cycle. Right?
Are they all working on like different levels then, or how are they?
Well, different aspects of different pieces, right? Lots of moving pieces. So some are programmers, some are designers, some are artists. And so you go, I mean, imagine a day where you're communicating, I'll go a little broader, right?
Sure.
You're communicating with Vancouver, San Francisco, we're in Emeryville, but San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Diego, and we start moving west, right? We get into occasionally Toronto, then we're into Quebec, Washington, D.C., Scotland, Ireland, England, different centers, then going more east, then you wind up in Australia, right? So if you look at those time zones, to Benny's point, it's pretty tiring. It's tough. And so you're trying to synergize, like, okay, what are you doing overnight so that he's going to pick up on it in the morning? Is the rigger who's working is the rigger who's doing something in Quebec going to get the thing that the animator needs in the morning in San Diego?
Yeah.
Right?
This sounds bizarre. Oh, go for it.
I was just going to say, and you asked me a key question. Do you see it as a model for the future, right? And I think because I've worn the different hats over my career, right, it's something that is in my wheelhouse to do, but I don't think it's for everybody, right? Like, unless you have been a rigger or an animator, or you've dealt with technical issues ranging from implementation to engineering, it's like all of those things are kind of required in the way we do development. in order for you to actually be successful at it.
Right.
So you got to be crazy.
Yeah, pretty much.
gotta be
And
crazy.
that's
Okay,
on a
gotta be
day-to-day
gotta be
basis.
crazy.
Yeah.
Has the vision for Soulstorm changed? Because we were on the podcast 3 years ago. It was pitched as like, we're using elements from Exodus and pulling it into this, and we're reworking the script and expanding on it. Because I think you said that game was made in like 9 months or some crazy rush job originally.
It was just crazy.
So is it still that basic idea,
Well,
or has it gotten further away from Exodus?
Further away.
Okay. Why is that?
Well, so a number of reasons. So one, when we started the project, we had a limited set of funds, and we were looking at, okay, how do we do this again? And New and Tasty, we decided to remake New and Tasty because it was that it embodied the image of the first part of the 5-part epic that we called the Quintology.
Yeah.
It embodied it. But Exodus got off track right away, which is why we called it a bonus game. And the publisher was like, yeah, and that'll be Quintology 2. You'll live like 9 months. And I was like, no, you just the story, man. It's bleeding in the street. We're not calling that the Plint. It's a bonus game, And it was really like that. It was like, they're like, but what do you mean? It's part 2. And I'm like, not 9 months, motherfuckers. Jesus Christ. And it was like really brutal. Sorry, you're going to be bleeping me out.
You're
okay,
good.
Okay. But now you're getting a real deal, right? Benny, what the is that? Okay.
Jim's calling me right now.
Yeah. Have him wired down. The chats go. So what happened with that, we called it a bonus game because I took elements that were from the real story of the Quintology, and then I tried to kind of hack together a version of it that I could get a game out in 9 months.
Right.
And that was the easiest way, quite frankly. And this is, you do these things. You borrow millions of dollars from corporations. You better come through, or else you're not going to do it again. That's for sure. And so you try and work with your partners. You try and do different things. You make different choices, and sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. You live with the consequences. But
so are you trying to make Soulstorm basically something that would fit the Quintology at this point then?
Well, so the idea was when we started, we go, look, let's make Soulstorm Part 2 of the Quintology like it should have been.
Right.
Yeah.
Which means Exodus has some things that you will be reminiscent in Soulstorm, but it is not Exodus.
Yeah.
It is not Exodus. It's a brand new game.
And how has it shifted since then? Just fewer elements are being pulled from
Well, no,
Exodus?
it just got bigger, right? So what happened was like some of the sales got better. So we fund ourselves now, and which really means the gamer funds us now, but not ahead of time by buying our games.
Yeah.
And now with digital distribution and self-publishing, we get to retain 70% of every penny spent on those games. And for us, because we love making games, we don't just keep the money. We're fueling it in. And we find that we can make smarter decisions if we work on our own. That's really the essence of it. And if we pay for it ourselves, which makes your stress level like 90 times more. But in doing that, we were looking at the project, and at first we thought it was at first we thought we'd change the story and we'd share some assets and stuff like this. But then it was like, brew is at the heart of this story. Brew. And it was, brew was in the other story, but not the way it was meant to be, right? So this is what I want to tell people who enjoyed Exodus and loved it. I'm thrilled that you loved it. This is not Exodus. Don't compare it. Don't think it's going to be. This is a brand new game. And it has a lot that's going on that Exodus did not. And so we're looking at this, and one of the first things Benny and I are like, well, what's going to make this game different? And we're going to evolve on the tool set that we created for New and Tasty, which is running on Unity in a 2.5D. Where do we want to push this? And we said, well, it's got to start with the brew, because the original concept was that the brew, aside from the diabolical purpose, secret mystery of the brew was highly flammable. See, that was the thing. That was a thing, right? And as a highly flammable consumer product, you should be able to do shit with that, like burn shit down, right? Like spread
burn everything.
Burn it down, man.
So just adding more gameplay systems like that.
Yeah,
were originally kind of hinted at.
Now, but this time we're going, if we had a team of 80 people, we don't have a lot of time to explore.
Yeah.
Right? So what we wanted to do is, I don't know if you ever saw Mark Cerny's, it was the second talk at DICE, And Mark Cerny did this talk, who I think's a genius, but he gave this talk. It's called "Game Design Documents Should Never Be More Than 5 Pages." Right. And I thought he was always right. Like you get the things working, then you get them working better, then you build off of that. You might have an idea where your story's going, but really you got to find sweet spots, and you're not going to articulate it as a big plan. Big plans typically turn into big turds, right? And unless you know that, well, this is Call of Duty 9, and then this time we're just going to add a dog, and then it's going to be able to parachute, and we're going to add these new features, and we know these extra social features, and you'll be able to share it to Facebook too, right? Like, whatever. Like, exactly where that game's going. Like, if you up the next version of Gran Turismo, you're an idiot, man. Like, how can you have that much momentum? Now, they haven't yet. But you really have to be a right? Because it's there. You just need to, prettier and it's
more
there.
cars.
Yeah, new and tasty.
A few new tracks, like, some new highlights, whatever. Sparkly paint jobs, I don't know. But the game is there. You'd really have to be an idiot to screw it up. It happens. But for us, we were looking at it and we go, we need to start with brew. And so we're now in the experimental stage, right?
This guy's just crazy all the time because in the experimental stage. So no, it's okay. In the so coming from a more technical background, when I hear some of his ideas, as grand as they are, I have no idea in the moment how we're going to pull it off, right? But I just go with it with a little faith that we'll figure it out together.
So the conclusion is there's just a lot more starting things on fire in Soulstorm than there was originally?
That's not the conclusion. That's just
that's
base
starting,
reality.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Okay, got it.
But the development of it goes like this, right? I'm like, he's like, it's not going to work. I was like, look, I had an idea of how to make this work technically back on PSX.
Yeah.
Thank God I didn't try to do it because it just would have just taxed the system into like emergency brake mode, and overheat chips. But so we start playing, and we're at Freeman. We're playing, and we're looking at how flammable liquid works, right? Like I can spray the whole room, but then I can drop a match over here and watch it. Watch that blue flame cover and watch where there's more brew on the floor, there should be higher flames. And where there's less, it should be burning out and going away. So like behaving like fire. Not like what we see mostly in games where we see fire visual effects that are canned and not organic and not alive, but I wanted like live
good
fire.
Systemic fire. Okay.
Real good fire, right?
Yeah.
So we start getting that to work, right? And we're like, bam, throwing brew all over, smash. Abe's throwing brew, and then just like throwing a spark. It's awesome, and we're like, awesome. And then we're like, well, what good's a game where you got a lot of fire and you can't burn down, right? So that
let's throw in like 2 metric tons of physics on top of it. Yeah.
So it's a very physicsy game now. And this is why it's been a long time in development, is just adding more and more physics.
It's one of the reasons.
One of the reasons. Are there other big beats that you guys have changed a lot that have really slowed down the development?
Oh, well, I would say we took a look at the fidelity of the product, how far we wanted to push it, right?
Yeah.
Even from cinematics to what's in game. Everything has just been leveled up. So it's when I look at New and Tasty and I play it today, I remember, so my first game that I worked on was New and Tasty with Oddworld, and it was a great game for its time, but now it's hard to play given how agile Abe feels, how fluid he feels, right? So all of the systems, not just visual effects and frame crushing, additions, right? But the whole experience has just been leveled up so it feels more cohesive. It feels modern.
Cool.
So when we're going with that, we're like, okay, he needs to be way more dynamic, way more twitchy and accurate, and way more fluid. And he was pretty stiff and more stiff than we remember. So you get all that running and you're like, oh, nice. And then you realize, yeah, and now that just revealed all these other stiffnesses.
Yeah.
Right? So
you go down redesign levels and all this stuff.
Yeah, it's like
and redesign core engineering, right? And redesign a lot of systems that weren't necessarily envisioned when New and Tasty or Exodus or any other product came before. But it's like to achieve those things, you're in a whole different ballgame of like, well, we need to re-architect a lot of these elements, right?
So are you guys still aiming for 2019? Or what's the...
Yeah, no, we're aiming for 2020.
2020?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you feeling good about it?
Yeah, always.
Here's our dilemma.
Yeah.
So one, the scaling of how that all happened is interesting. You might want to keep on tapping on that bell.
Yeah.
But we're able to build the game at the pace that we make money selling our games. And so,
Interesting.
And so we're not in a position where we can say 100 people next week, right? Because we don't have that type of income flow. So the speed of the development is governed by two things: our ability to be clever and efficient, and how much money we're bringing in through selling the games. That's what's financed Soulstorm. And now that investment is, reaching, of our own, is reaching like 10 million, So we're in there, right? And we're going to exceed that, right? And we might be asking for some help, but that's another story. If people want to see the game sooner,
Yeah.
right?
Are you thinking about crowdsourcing then?
It's yes.
Okay.
Yes, in a unique way, and there'll be more details, that we can talk about. But what it leaves us in is this condition where, a lot of the fans are complaining, how long it takes us.
Totally.
They moan a lot about that, and it's kind of fair. But we're stuck in a position where it's got to be great. If it's not great, we're done, right? You can't do it the way we're doing it. Spend all your money on a title and then have it suck, right?
Yeah.
But you made the date. What do you mean? But we got it out for you on September. It sucked. You're dead. I hate you. I'd rather be like, yeah, man, you wanted it sooner. And they were like, well, but it's great. We forgive you. So forgive us rather than hate us.
And I got to say, like, as much as I call things crazy or we're over the top, I really wouldn't do it any other way, right?
Yeah.
Because I've done it the other way, right? Many, many times where you're like, well, here's the date. This is what we have to ship. Let's just try and fix as many of the A bugs as we can before we let the game out the door. But I think with how we do it, it's extremely reactive and responsive, where we just, if there's an idea, right? Sometimes I'll crash in the middle of the office, like I'll just sleep somewhere, come back and go, I think I figured out how we can execute that, right? Let's just group on those ideas and see what comes out of it. And we'll do these sessions like in 60 seconds, let's solve the problem, right? And we'll have the team right there in real time solving those problems. And in every single case, and I wasn't a believer initially, but in every case, when it's like in 60 seconds, we come up with a solution that prior to that, everybody was like, yeah, we're not sure if it can be done, right? And it just goes to show you how if you just put a little mind power to it, in a minute or less, right, you can solve a lot of these issues.
Yeah, sure.
That's my technique for we've been trying to solve this long enough. We got 60 seconds.
Yeah.
Go.
Click. Go.
All right. I'm sure the fans would appreciate it if you guys worked it down to like 20 seconds.
Seconds,
Really
yeah.
get that down there. Lauren, last time you were on the podcast, you mentioned that you were talking to Shuhei Yoshida from Sony, and he was talking about, if we make another PlayStation 5, it's not a guarantee. And now I'm curious, we're so close in theory to the launch of the next consoles. Do you have any thoughts on the next generation, what you want from it, what you're scared of, anything like that?
I'm so deep in this one I think the only thing we care about is that it stays compatible. Like, don't do another Kutaragi-ism.
Right.
Like, please don't do another Kutaragi-ism, right? Because that just f***s everybody.
And what do you mean by Kutaragi-ism?
What I mean is, when you build a game, you have to forecast how much a game is going to cost.
Yeah.
Well, how can you forecast how much a game is cost if it doesn't have a development system that you can understand?
Right.
So what happened to all the mid-tier developers through the PS2 and PS3 generation?
It was just a challenge. They went away because it was a challenge trying to get up to speed on the PS3 hardware. Is that the overall idea?
Yeah, but what happened was they all borrowed money and said, I can deliver this game for this much money. And then when they didn't, what did the publishers do?
Just kills them. Yeah.
Bend over. We'll take some more from you.
Yeah.
Right? Until eventually there's nothing left to take, and the game still hasn't even delivered because they don't even have it. Why did it take? Look, I'm a big fan of Sony, but why did it take Sony's first party a year to ship a game on PS2? Right?
Yeah.
There was a reason. Right? That reason has one guy's name on it, and so. I was never a fan. I'm a huge fan of the PlayStation, but I was never a fan of someone who doesn't care about the people who have to build games, who's more into the science of designing cheap chip sets.
Right.
Which is an art.
Yeah.
Which is something I can't do. And then just says, figure it out. Right?
Yeah.
And figure it out means unpredictability on budget. And where does that land you in a capitalism world where everything is about money, and every dollar you go over is another pound of your flesh in one way or another.
Right.
So this is where all the studios lost, all the mid-tier studios lost. Shu and I actually got in an argument about this once, and it was about the lifetime. We talked about it, but it was about the lifetime achievement award for Kutaragi, and I didn't want to give it to him, you know. and Shu was like, "We did so much for the industry," you know. He was right, but I had the mid-tier developers perspective, and I was like, "Yeah, not for us." Not for us. I'm glad it was really successful. I'm glad it was that, but we almost got ruined because the publishers we were working for, they didn't want to hear we were over budget anyway, ever, right?
Yeah.
And maybe we didn't have the most brilliant crew on the planet, but we were still trying hard. You know, we were doing a decent job.
And that's something where I think, you know, whether Sony or Microsoft is coming out with the next console anytime soon or even at all, it's not our primary kind of concern right now. We're more focused on the hardware that's there and how we take better advantage of it.
But if it happens to launch on next gen, then you'd imagine Mark Cerny's going to keep pretty similar architecture for PS5, right?
He's one of the best things that happened, you know, at Sony, right? I really believe in the guy, and he's proven it, right? And so exactly what is their model with PS4, PS4 Pro? When will there be a PS5? Will there ever be a PS5? I don't know. I can honestly say I don't know. But I know there's got to be more powerful systems, you know, and I know they're going to do something. What they're going to call it, I don't know. How Xbox One was named that, I still can't figure out, you know, because when I'm talking about...
It's the end of the generation. We got to get used to it by now.
Because I'm like, I know, but it's still, people are like, well, what game did you release Stranger on? I was like, oh, it was on the Xbox, the first one. Oh, the Xbox One. No, it's the first one, but not one. It's like, why? So, anyway.
Yeah, it's confusing. Well, I remember
It's
you
confusing.
you jumped with Munches, because that was an exclusive on PS2, right? And then you switched over to the Xbox. Was that because of just the architecture of the PS2?
It wasn't exclusive, but at that time, the architectures were so different that you didn't necessarily... well, first of all, Microsoft didn't exist yet as a game console, right? So you had, Nintendo and PlayStation and Sega barely hanging in there, you know? And so PlayStation was it.
Yeah.
And... sorry, to your original question.
Oh, just about shifting over to the Xbox.
Yeah,
I remember,
yeah.
did you release a demo, or you're making a demo for the
yeah.
PS2 version of Munches or something?
Yeah, it was, and I didn't handle that well.
Okay.
In the press, I didn't handle that well. I got beat up a lot.
I remember being a kid and being pissed about it. Do I have to buy an Xbox to play this thing now? What the hell?
Yeah, case in point, you know. So, but it was a survival tactic because we were disappointed with how the PlayStation 2 looked, and I remember. You know, like Phil Harrison was saying, polygons are free. Right now, I came out of film level computer graphics. Phil Harrison's a smart guy. If you really understood 3D, polygons are never free, right? Let alone that era. The first guy who was saying silly stuff like that was 3DO with Trip Hawkins, right?
Oh, sure.
Well, this machine's going to do this, this machine's going to do that. And I was looking at specs, I was like, this machine isn't going to do shit, man. But there'll be a lot of stupid money thinking it can. Now, we got to get in the business because they think it's going to go 3D. We're well positioned, right? Whereas, by the way, you know, I think Phil Harris is a really smart guy.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
He's achieved a lot and done a lot, and I don't mean to dog him, but he said that, and he deserves a ding on it. You know,
Sure.
polygons are still not free.
Yeah.
Right? We're just a lot more at lower cost. But what happened was we were in a declining position with a publisher who had just been acquired by another publisher that we didn't have anything to do with. And they wanted to change budgets. They wanted to change the way that they did things, the way that we did things. It wasn't compatible. We had to find a way out. And we wanted off the PS2 because we didn't... I should also say, you know, we didn't have... the total expertise in-house to know how to really optimize a system like that. Like, I think Naughty Dog was in a better shape with Andy Gavin and their teams of people writing machine-level code. You know, they had a better advantage. They also
just tricky architecture overall. So it's like, let's just go for the Xbox.
And they also had, more access to Sony.
Yeah.
Right? But if you were kind of on the outskirts like us, we had almost none. And we're getting into trouble, and now we got financial partners that have changed, and we're not believers, and they're not believers in us. So we're in in a bad spot.
Yeah.
And then Sony comes along, and Seamus and Kevin Bacchus and Ed Freeze come along, and they're like, we're going to build a machine for developers. We're going to build a machine that really is designed to let people like you build games better, faster, cheaper, right? Now, that normally doesn't make sense, but when you have a whole half-assed operating system or development system, that can make sense. Like, if you have a good set of tools, you can do better, faster, cheaper.
Yeah.
I know the common wisdom is pick two. You know, I'll tell you what, pick one shitty hardware system, and you can win all three on another one that's better. And so, that's an over-exaggeration. I shouldn't say PS2 was, it was just the development environment was a nightmare.
Gotcha.
And,
Hey, real quick, you mentioned Phil Harrison. Real quick thoughts on Stadia.
I got to go over there shortly to really get an insight.
Okay.
I was talking to Phil the other night, and maybe Phil keep on talking to me after this podcast. But, and we're going over there, and I can't wait to really see. But I honestly don't have much insight at this time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Optimistic just from their pitch, from the outside?
I've heard a lot of them.
Yeah.
You know, I've heard a lot of them. The thing that concerns me a little is that it's kind of like Amazon getting into games, right? So many other business interests might be intertwined.
Yeah.
That if I have an area of caution, I would be trying to understand what they were and what they're trying to squeeze to make it something that may not be great for us. Right. And I don't know. It's like, for instance, the Amazon box, they wanted to stream by the minute, right, and charge by the minute. It's not going to work for a game like ours, right? So going into it, knowing the engine they bought, knowing people that were going to work there, knowing some of the things that they were saying, it seemed really positive. You know, there was a lot to possibly get excited about. When you find out that they wanted to stream it by the minute and charge by the minute, my first question was, so how does that work on the Hollywood movies? Is the Hollywood studios going to let you stream Apocalypse Now 10 cents a minute?
Right.
I don't think so, right? So why should single-player story games that are like that, why should we stream by the minute? It makes sense for certain types of games. It makes sense for certain types of games that are making the most money in the world right now. It's just not all the games.
Totally.
And it's not our kind of game. And
so wait and see with Google Stadia.
Yeah. I mean, we hope it's, you know, we hope we can be on it.
Yeah.
And we are really looking forward to understanding it better. But I proceed with a little bit of caution, just from
totally.
you know, things we've learned.
I know you guys are in a rush. I have a quick old surprise for you.
Are we in a rush? How are we doing?
A little bit of a rush.
We're doing all right.
All right.
We're doing
This
all right.
is
Oh, hey, yeah, there it
the
is.
old issue.
Oh, wow.
Hey, honestly, were you talking about it earlier today?
Yeah, I was looking for it on the wall, man.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, we want a poster, but we don't have it.
Yeah, man. See, they got the poster. It's just not on the wall.
Yeah.
It's like going home to my house. Hey, Mom, where's my photos that were on the...
We have extra copies if you want to bring one home or anything.
Yeah,
But would you
I'll take
mind
it, sure, I'd love
signing
one.
this one? That
Are
we
you
can
kidding?
auction it off for Extra Life this year? We do
Yeah,
like
I'd love
this charity
to.
stream
Love
every
to.
year.
Where do you want me to sign?
Anywhere, probably right in the space there.
Right
by
in his
Abe's
face.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you remember that coming out? Do you remember that?
I do. I love this cover. I do. Especially because we were bigger than Rare.
Get out of the way, Banjo.
Right?
There's a sweet preview of Final Fantasy 7 in there. Really high hopes for that one.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Hey,
Thank you so
Blasto.
much, man.
Whatever happened to Blasto? He had more life in him.
Yeah, well, I think Phil Hartman died at a certain point that really quashed the dreams of the future of Blasto.
I guess that'd do it.
Yeah, that'll do it. Hey, Soulstorm coming out sometime in 2020, hopefully.
Soulstorm 2020.
What do you want? Can fans follow you? What's your dream scenario? Or do too many fans follow you and already scream at you guys about what they
No,
want?
there's never too many fans following us.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
oddworld.com, please go to oddworld.com, sign up, give us your email, and you'll be first to know the new things that are happening. Follow us on
Twitter, Instagram.
Oddworld. It's just Oddworld, right?
Yeah.
Oddworld Inc.
Oddworld.
Oddworld. Instagram. There's chat groups running on Discord, and
saying where is the game?
Facebook for sure.
Okay,
Facebook
awesome.
Oddworld page.
Hey, best of luck, guys. Look forward to talking to you in the
Thank you.
future.
Hey, excellent. Thank
Hey,
you.
man.
Thanks for having us back.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for talking about Game Informer. And thank you so much for watching or listening to this episode of the Game Informer Show podcast. Be sure to tune in next Thursday. We'll have a new episode waiting for you. Bye, everybody.
See ya.